Chapter 680. Xian Xiaomo was very beautiful. She was even more beautiful than Bai Fengyu. But at this moment, her face was pale and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. When she looked at Jiang Chun and the other two, her eyes were filled with fear. She was afraid that the three men in front of her would humiliate her. The current leader of the Xian clan is Ancestor Xian, but he hasn't appeared for a long time. The one who truly controls the Xian clan is my grandfather, the great elder of the Xian clan, Xian Xiaomo said honestly. She didn't dare to lie. She had signed a master-servant contract with Jiang Chun. If she told a lie, Jiang Chun would be able to detect it immediately. Then it's easy. Jiang Chun smiled. Xian Xiaomo's grandfather was the current leader of the Xian clan. If he captured Xian Xiaomo, her grandfather would probably submit. Of course, even if he didn't submit, the Xian clan wouldn't dare to do anything too overboard to Jiang Chun. What about the cultivation technique? Jiang Chun continued to ask. Which cultivation technique? Xian Xiaomo was confused. The Xian clan had a deep foundation and had been in the Eternal City for many years. There were many cultivation techniques in the clan, and they didn't lack the top ones. Even the Lord Gods would be jealous of them. It should be a cultivation technique from a long time ago. It was left behind by someone and is in the Eternal City. Jiang Chun said, I can't remember the name, but I can feel that someone in the Xian clan cultivated that cultivation technique. It was stored in the Eternal City a long time ago. Xian Xiaomo frowned. After thinking carefully, she exclaimed, Thick Earth Divine Technique? Oh, Thick Earth Divine Technique? Jiang Chun said softly. He didn't remember everything, so he didn't know the name of the cultivation technique. However, when he had heard the Thick Earth Divine formula, some fragmented memories appeared in Jiang Chun's incomplete memory. He thought carefully. According to the fragmented memories in his mind, he was roughly sure that the cultivation technique he was looking for was the Thick Earth Divine Technique. What a lousy name. Nian Chang'e pouted. The name of the cultivation technique was really ugly. However, Mu Yud's expression changed slightly. He stared at Xian Xiaomo and asked, Is it really the Thick Earth Divine spell? According to what Master said, it should be the Thick Earth Divine art. Moreover, there are people in my clan who have cultivated it, but the results are not ideal. It is very difficult to improve. Xian Xiaomo explained, This Thick Earth Divine art was indeed left behind by an expert in Eternal City. Later on, because of the Xian clan's outstanding performance in the war against the foreign lands, the Great Saint bestowed the Thick Earth Divine art to the Xian clan. This cultivation technique really exists, Mu Yu muttered. Jiang Chun's memory was incomplete, so he didn't know the secret of the Thick Earth Divine formula. Nian Chang'e knew very little, so he didn't know the horror of the Thick Earth Divine formula. However, as the Lord of the Four Abyss, Mu Yu naturally knew a thing or two about the Thick Earth Divine technique. Rumor has it that the Thick Earth Divine art was created by a peerless god monarch. It was even possible that the creator of the Thick Earth Divine art had broken through his shackles and surpassed the god monarch realm. Of course, this wasn't the main point. The main point was that the Thick Earth Divine art was said to be compatible with the incomplete heavenly manual. Jiang Chun cultivated the incomplete heavenly manual. However, this cultivation technique, as its name suggested, was incomplete. Only by finding the other half of the cultivation technique, the incomplete Earth Divine art, could it be perfectly combined and cultivate to a peerless realm. However, since ancient times, the incomplete heavenly manual had appeared a few times and many people had cultivated it. However, the incomplete Earth Divine art had never appeared before. However, in a certain era, a peerless genius had created a cultivation technique that could be combined with the incomplete heavenly manual. As for how well it could be combined, no one knew. However, people guessed that if one cultivated both the incomplete heavenly manual and the Thick Earth Divine art at the same time, the results would be extraordinary. It could even allow one to break through the shackles of heaven and earth and break through the realm of the god monarch. You must get this cultivation technique. Mu Yu said seriously, You've cultivated the incomplete heavenly manual. Is it related to the incomplete heavenly manual? Jiang Chun was shocked. No wonder the incomplete memory in his mind kept telling him that he must find the cultivation technique that he had left behind in the eternal fortress. Now that he heard Muyuda's tone, it seemed that the thick earth divine art and the incomplete heavenly manual were closely related. Have you cultivated the thick earth divine art? Jiang Chen asked. Xian Xiaoma immediately shook her head to show that she had not cultivated it. This was because cultivating the thick earth divine art was not very effective. It was not even as effective as other cultivation techniques. There were people in the tribe who had cultivated it, but the results were not very good. Moreover, those who had cultivated the thick earth divine art only had the first half. The second half had not been passed down. Moreover, those who had cultivated the thick earth divine art had been branded in their spiritual souls. If someone tried to steal the thick earth divine art from their spiritual souls would explode. Then, if I exchange you for the thick earth divine art, will the Xian tribe agree? Jiang Chen asked. I'm not sure. Xian Xiaoma shook her head. Although Xian Xiaoma was the great elder's granddaughter, the great elder was now the leader of the Xian tribe. Everything he did and said had to be done for the sake of the entire Xian tribe. He would not do something that would harm the entire Xian tribe for his granddaughter. Moreover, although the effects of the thick earth divine technique were not great, it was still a supreme technique. The Xian tribe would not give it away so easily. Why don't we try? If it doesn't work, the Xian tribe will not do anything to us. What do you think? Jiang Chen asked. Nian Chang'e had no objections. After all, he was Jiang Chen's junior. In a certain era, they were both disciples of Taoist Tongtian. However, Muyuda hesitated. The Xian tribe was too powerful. If they did not care about Xian Xiaoma's safety and attacked them directly, Jiang Chen and the other two would definitely die. Let's take a look at the stone tablet in Aeon Town first. We'll make a decision first, Muyuda suggested. I have a few old friends in the Eternal City. I don't know if they're here now. I'll contact them. If they're willing to help, it will be much easier to deal with the Xian tribe. At least we'll have a guarantee. All right, go and contact your old friends. We'll go and take a look at the stone tablet tomorrow, Jiang Chen said. In the end, they left. Xian Xiaoma stayed in Jiang Chen's room and was guarded by Jiang Chen himself. Time passed slowly until the next day. It was at Tian Sha yesterday. He dared to use sleeping incense in the Sky Dragon Inn, and it was an aphrodisiac. Damn it, don't let me know who it is. I'll skin him alive. The next morning, the Flying Dragon Inn was in an uproar. There were even honorable gods roaring. Their voices shook the entire Aeon town. The people nearby were curious about what had happened in the Flying Dragon Inn last night. They all wanted to find out. In the end, a piece of news spread. The entire Flying Dragon Inn had been drugged last night. Everyone had been infected with aphrodisiac. Oh my God, the woman who stayed in the Flying Dragon Inn last night, isn't she? Someone had a strange expression and thought of Xian Xiaoma. Chapter 681. I remember that the granddaughter of the Great Elder is staying at the Flying Dragon Inn. Could she? The Holy Lady of the Heavenly Water Sect is also staying at the Sky Dragon Inn. Everyone started to speculate, especially Xian Xiaoma and the Holy Lady of the Heavenly Water Sect. They became the topic of discussion. Aeon Town was not very big. Once the news spread, almost everyone in Aeon Town knew about it in half a day. However, many people did not pay much attention to it. They just treated it as gossip. After all, the Aeon Hall would open the stone tablet today. Many people were focused on the stone tablet. Isn't that Xian Xiaoma of the Xian tribe? Who's the man beside her? I've never heard of Xian Xiaoma having a male friend. Could it be that last night, oh my God, the rumors are true. Xian Xiaoma was really in front of the Aeon Hall. Jiang Chen and Xian Xiaoma stood together. The crowd was in an uproar. They did not hold back at all and spoke directly. Jiang Chen was thick-skinned and did not care at all. He stood there calmly. However, to Xian Xiaoma, this was an insult to her. Nothing happened to me. Xian Xiaoma's face was flushed red. She was obviously furious. At the same time, she was furious. How did she meet Jiang Chen and the other two last night? If she did not meet them, she would not be suspected by so many people today. Now, She would not be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Hey, can't you explain? Xian Xiaoma sent a telepathic message to Jiang Chun, wanting him to explain himself. Jiang Chun smiled sarcastically. He said to the crowd, "Guys, nothing happened between me and her. I stayed in the same room last night. There's absolutely nothing going on between us." What? Stayed in the same room last night? That's not going on? The flower of the eternal city, the little princess of the Xian tribe, was taken by someone just like that. Tian Sha, who was the one who released the aphrodisiac in the sky dragon in last night. For a moment, many people who admired Xian Xiaoma screamed and wailed. Some of the Xian clan members were so scared that they trembled and ran towards the Xian clan. How can you explain it like that? Xian Xiaoma was furious. Her face was flushed red, and the veins on her forehead were bulging. If it weren't for the master-servant contract between her and Jiang Chun, she would have cut Jiang Chun into 1,000 pieces. I like to speak the truth. Jiang Chun blinked innocently and said, "We did stay together last night, and nothing happened. But you can't explain it like that." Xian Xiaoma glared at Jiang Chun. In the eyes of the bystanders, this was undoubtedly a young couple flirting. Did you hear that? This is the sound of a broken heart. Yes, the ground is filled with the sound of broken hearts. Luckily, we only lost Xian Xiaoma. The saintess of the heavenly water sect is fine. However, in the next moment, when a beautiful woman in a blue dress came to the front of the everlasting hall, the place was in an uproar. Upon closer inspection, this woman had a graceful figure and exquisite facial features. Her blue hair fluttered in the wind, and she looked like an untainted fairy. This person was the saintess of the heavenly water sect, Lan Qingxue. She was listed as one of the top 10 beauties of Everlasting Town, and her ranking was even higher than Xian Xiaoma. She had more admirers than Xian Xiaoma. But now, there was a man standing beside Lan Qingxue. Lan Qingxue, who was always cold and elegant, actually took the initiative to hold the man's arm. Did you hear that? The sound of my broken heart is shaking the heavens. I heard it. Touch my heart. Is it broken too? A group of people's faces were dark, and some even covered their faces and wailed. As for Jiang Chun, he was also dumbfounded. Wasn't the man beside Lan Qingxue Nian Chang'e? Previously, when the two of them came out of the flying dragon inn together, Nian Chang'e said that he had something to do and would come later. Who would have thought that the so-called something was to kidnap the saintess of the heavenly water sect? Moreover, looking at the two of them, the speed of development was too fast, right? I'm convinced. Jiang Chun gave Nian Chang'e a thumbs up. It was really impossible not to admire. Who are you? What did you do to my goddess? Damn it, who do you think you are? Is Lan Qingxue someone you can touch? At this moment, the outside of the everlasting hall completely exploded. Someone walked over, pointed at Nian Chang'e's nose, and scolded. There were even people who raised the weapons in their hands, wanting to fight to the death with Nian Chang'e. Nian Chang'e was very helpless and said with a wry smile, "Everyone, I haven't become a god yet. Saintess of Qingxue, this person's cultivation is low. One look, and you can tell that he's a useless person. How could you and him?" Someone asked, his face full of pain. "He must have used some despicable means. Was it you who released the aphrodisiac at the Flying Dragon Inn last night?" Some people suspected that what happened at the Flying Dragon Inn last night was done by Nian Chang'e. In order to get Lan Qingxue, he actually did such a thing. Regarding this, Nian Chang'e was powerless to explain. The group of people in front of him were clearly blinded by anger. No matter how he explained, it was useless. "I can't take it anymore. Take this." A hot-tempered person roared angrily, holding 1,000 blood saber in his hand. Blood lights surged, and the might of a heavenly god erupted. The saber crossed the sky like a blood-colored dragon, slashing down towards Nian Chang'e. "How dare you?" Jiang Chun roared angrily, used shrinking earth into an inch, and rushed towards Nian Chang'e. However, Jiang Chun was just a lower true god. His speed and strength were absolutely unable to contend with a heavenly god. Moreover, the person who attacked was an upper heavenly god. When Jiang Qin moved, it was already too late. At this moment, Jiang Qin's eyes were piercing. Could it be that Nian Chang'e was going to die here today? Ding! However, in the next moment, when a light sound came out, the entire place fell silent. Lan Qingshui's snow-white fingers stood side by side, casually receiving this saber. Her face was cold, and her eyes were emitting a cold light. She looked coldly at the person who attacked, and said coldly, "Do you want to die by touching my brother?" "What? Brother? Did I hear wrongly? Brother?" At this moment, exclamations sounded, and someone even subconsciously shouted, "Brother-in-law?" Even the person who attacked just now was dumbfounded at this moment. After a few breaths, he was very embarrassed. He put away his long saber and squeezed out a smile. He lowered his head and bowed to Nian Chang'e. He even clasped his hands and said respectfully and humbly, "Brother-in-law, don't be angry. It's all a misunderstanding." "Who's your brother-in-law?" Nian Chang'e's face was dark. If Lan Qingshui had not attacked just now, he would have almost died. "You're courting death. How dare you hurt my brother-in-law? Cripple him for me." Not long after, a few heavenly gods attacked, and there was even a profound god. A group of people pulled the person who attacked out, and not long after, there were a few screams. In the surroundings, those who were previously hostile to Nian Chang'e all revealed kind smiles. There was even a handsome young man who was an upper profound god. At this moment, he came to Nian Chang'e's side, patted his chest, and said seriously, "Fellow Taoist, don't be afraid. With me here, your safety is guaranteed." Chapter 682. Nian Chang'e was Lan Qingshui's brother? Jiang Chun was a little confused. He didn't understand the situation at all. It's a long story. At this moment, Nian Chang'e came to Jiang Qin's side and smiled bitterly. "I didn't expect her to still remember me. You've known each other for a long time?" Jiang Qin pointed at Lan Qingshui. "Yes, a long time ago." Nian Chang'e nodded. Back then, Nian Chang'e had also come to Eternal City and fought with the foreign creatures. However, Nian Chang'e wasn't very strong at that time. He was thrown to Eternal Town by Taoist Tong Tian to gain experience. It was also at that time that Nian Chang'e encountered Lan Qingshui. Moreover, during a battle against foreign creatures, she saved the young Lan Qingshui. Since then, Lan Qingshui recognized Nian Chang'e as her brother. Of course, the two of them were pure, at least in Nian Chang'e's heart. He really did treat Lan Qingshui as his own sister. What was more coincidental was that the two of them stayed in the same inn yesterday. When he went out today, Nian Chang'e felt that Lan Qingshui was a little familiar, so he went over to take a look. He didn't expect that it was really him. As a result, the incident just now happened. "How's the strength of Heavenly Water Sect in Eternal Town?" Jiang Qin suddenly asked. "Heavenly Water Sect isn't very strong." Lan Qingshui said, "Sect Master rarely fights. He was injured a long time ago and hasn't fought for 2 generations. He isn't very strong." "Forget it then," Jiang Qin murmured. He couldn't help but feel disappointed. At this moment, the door of Everlasting Hall opened. The old monk in the tattered kasaya came out and didn't say a word. He waved his hand, and a summer mustard seed opened. An ancient stone tablet with cracks fell from the sky and stood in front of the Everlasting Hall's gate. Then he didn't say a word and stood silently at the side. "Greetings, great sage Ku Tua." "Greetings, Senior Ku Tua." A group of people bowed one after another. Obviously, this old monk's status in Eternal Town wasn't low. "Ku Tua, great sage?" Jiang Qin exclaimed softly. There weren't many who could be called great sage in Eternal Town, right? It seemed that there were only a handful of them. Great sage was not a realm, but a symbol of glory and strength. Even a divine king might not necessarily be called a great sage in Eternal City. Is this stone tablet really left behind by Supreme God Nine Deaths? Someone asked curiously. This was also the first time they had seen this stone tablet. That's what the rumors say. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard that the stone tablet contains the inheritance of the 9 Deaths, Supreme God. It seems to be the legendary 9 Deaths body, someone said. Many people were moved at the mention of the 9 Deaths body. This was a cultivation technique that only existed in legends. No one in the world had ever seen it, nor had they ever cultivated it before. After all, it was impossible to determine if the supreme god of 9 deaths really existed, let alone the 9 deaths body he cultivated. However, the stone tablet was still here. Since it was valued by the everlasting hall, it had to be extraordinary. Brother, take a look. Is this stone tablet really that extraordinary? Lan Qingshui looked at Nian Chang'e and frowned. It was not her first time looking at this stone tablet, but she did not gain anything each time. This stone tablet is extraordinary, but I can't see anything. Maybe my master can see something. Nian Chang'e smiled bitterly. The moment the stone tablet appeared, Nian Chang'e had been trying to comprehend it, but she did not gain anything. As she spoke, Nian Chang'e looked at Jiang Chun, wanting to ask Jiang Chun for his opinion. However, when she looked at Jiang Chun, she found that Jiang Chun had closed his eyes and was snoring. Has he been too tired recently? Did he fall asleep standing up? Nian Chang'e was dumbfounded. You fell asleep in front of so many people? And you're snoring? Brother, do you understand the situation? Damn, he must be too tired from playing with Xian Xiaomao last night. That makes sense. He's simply a beast. The snoring attracted the attention of many people. Someone boldly guessed that Jiang Chen's sleep must have something to do with last night. Xian Xiaomao looked terrible. She wanted to explain, but she also knew that it was useless to explain now. She would take the blame for this. Damn it, where is this? At this moment, Jiang Chun was very uncomfortable. He looked at the stone tablet. Suddenly, the ever-changing heavenly lamp burned and brought his consciousness into an unknown space. This space was very special. There was no qi of heaven and earth, no divine power, and no Tao. His entire body seemed to be sealed. The qi in his body could not come out, and the power outside could not enter. He was suffocating. Therefore, there was the sound of snoring. A big furnace. After a few breaths, Jiang Chen's consciousness drifted in this space. Finally, in a hazy place, he saw a wasteland. This place was dirty, stinky, and the soil seemed to have mutated. Just like the floating earth of legend, it carried sin, and it hid all the filth in the world. However, on this wasteland, there was a furnace, burning with an unknown flame. The flame was purple, and it was twisting and changing its shape constantly. Heaven's death flame. All of a sudden, the immortal bird doctrine soul in Jiang Chen's soul exclaimed in surprise. He was well-versed in all kinds of flames and knew a little about them. When he saw the purple flames, his feathers stood on end, and his hair stood on end. His eyes were full of fear and disbelief. Heaven's death flame? This flame really exists. Jiang Chun was also shocked. According to legends, the heaven's death flame was something left behind by the heavens after it died. But when had the heavens died? Since it had died, where did the heaven's death flame come from? Therefore, the heaven's death flame had always been a legend. In legends, no one believed that this flame existed in this world. But now, the flame in the furnace was indeed the heaven's death flame. Wait, let's figure out what this place is first, Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. His soul consciousness was suddenly brought into this space by the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp. It was truly strange. Buzz! Right at this moment, the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp burst forth with light, dispersing the surrounding fog. Jiang Chen's eyes widened. He saw Nian Chang'e and the rest standing outside the fog. Looking at himself, Jiang Chen suddenly realized that his soul consciousness had been brought into the stone tablet space by the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp. Don't mess with me. Jiang Chen's heart palpitated. Now that he was facing this dirty land and the legendary heaven's death flame, he was breaking out in cold sweat. Whether it was the floating soil or the heaven's death flame, any trace of these two things was enough to take Jiang Chen's life. Corpse! All of a sudden, Jiang Chen squinted his eyes and saw half of a burnt arm under the dirty ground. Looking carefully, there was a complete corpse under the wasteland. The heaven's death flame burned on it, but it could not burn the corpse. Chapter 683. The heavenly death flame was a strange flame left behind by the heavens after its death. It was said that the heavenly death flame could burn everything. But what is going on now? The corpse on the dirty ground had not been incinerated by the heavenly death fire. It was to the extent that Jiang Chun could even see through the charred skin that the bones under the skin were still shining with a divine light. They were full of vitality. What corpse is this? Even the heavenly death flame could not burn it. Jiang Chun was shocked and felt a chill down his spine. He felt that this place was very strange. He did not know if he was in the small space of the stone tablet or in another time and space. Anyway, Jiang Chun's only thought was to get out of here as soon as possible. The heavens can't bury me. The earth can't bury me. The remains of the heavens. The heavenly death flame falls. I live in the heavenly Tao's great reincarnation, immortal and indestructible. Suddenly, an ethereal, yet domineering voice resounded in this small space. Then, the ground shook and 8 corpses broke out of the ground. Upon closer inspection, the 8 corpses looked exactly the same. Other than the burnt skin, the other parts of the corpses were intact. When the 8 corpses appeared at the same time, vitality appeared in the corpses. The corpses are coming back to life? Jiang Chun's face turned pale as he felt a sense of danger. If the corpses that were burned by the heavenly death flame were to come back to life, it would be terrifying. They shed their flesh. The undying bird Dao Hun had a strange expression. He saw the 8 corpses through Jiang Chun's eyes. Finally, he flew out of Jiang Chun's soul and stopped on Jiang Chun's shoulder. He said in a low voice, "I'm afraid the rumor is true. The supreme deity, 9 deaths, really exists." "What rumor is it?" Jiang Chun asked. "It is said that in an ancient era, a peerless genius appeared. He was proficient in all kinds of cultivation techniques and studied them for countless years. In the end, he created a peerless cultivation technique." The undying bird Dao Han explained, "This is part of my inherited memory from my previous master." "That peerless genius is the supreme deity 9 deaths?" Jiang Chun asked. "That's right." The undying bird Dao Han nodded, but it was so long ago that there was no record of it in the ancient books. Thus, it is impossible to verify whether or not Supreme God 9 Deaths existed. But now, I suddenly believe in Supreme God 9 Deaths. Immortal bird Dao Han said. Part of the immortal bird Dao soul's inherited memories were awakened the moment it saw the 8 corpses. Among them, there was a part of the memories of Supreme God 9 Deaths. It was rumored that in 9 Deaths deity's era, he could be considered truly unmatched, to the extent where not even the other side dared invade the 6 realms. At that time, 9 Deaths divinity never showed himself, but he intimidated the 6 realms, not even the other side daring to mention his name. His contributions were extraordinary, and he had protected the 6 realms for countless eras. But one day, God 9 Deaths suddenly disappeared. There was once a person who claimed to be a Tao child of 9 Deaths, Supreme God. This person revealed that there was a problem with the cultivation method created by Supreme God 9 Deaths. He only shed 8 bodies, unable to complete the true 9 Deaths. As a result, he chose to leave, heading to an unknown world, wishing to seek a breakthrough. It was also from then on that Supreme God 9 Deaths disappeared, and no one had heard of him ever since. Even the later generations' memories of Supreme God 9 Deaths became more and more blurry. It was as if there was an invisible hand that used the power of time and space to erase all the information about Supreme God 9 Deaths. Every time he shed a body, it is the so-called 1 death. Shedding 9 bodies, it is 9 deaths, which is the Mahayana divine art? Jiang Chun asked. After the Mahayana divine art, is he truly unmatched? He might not be unmatched. Immortal bird Dao Han shook its head. But one thing is for sure, Supreme God 9 Deaths was already unmatched when he shed 8 bodies. Then why do you say he might not be unmatched? Jiang Chun was confused. Immortal bird Dao Han frowned upon hearing this. His inherited memories weren't complete, But the undying bird Tao spirit seemed to know something. He was unsure and confused, but he subconsciously pointed above his head and said softly, "Perhaps there is still a sky in the sky." "What do you mean?" Jiang Chun was also confused. There was still a sky in the sky? Above the sky, wasn't it the 9 heavens divine realm? Wait, could it be that there was a higher world above the 9 heavens divine realm? Jiang Chun did not believe it, because he had always thought that the 9 heavens divine realm was the highest sky. But after a few breaths, Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes and thought of the foreign realm. If the foreign realm did not attack the 6 realms, then no one would have thought that there was such a terrifying world outside the 6 realms. In this way, could it be that because the world above the 9 heavens divine realm had never made a move, no one believed that there was a sky in the sky? If one day, the world above the 9 heavens divine realm made a move, then just like the foreign realm, the world would believe that there was a sky in the sky. It's hard to believe, but it can't be denied, Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. Don't think so much now. Immortal bird Dao Hun sighed. This should be the inheritance of Supreme God 9 Deaths. Then do I have a chance to obtain the inheritance of Supreme God 9 Deaths? Jiang Chun was excited. As soon as these words came out, the immortal bird Dao Hun glanced at Jiang Chun and said snappily, "Live first. Do you think this place is safe? Heaven's death fire. 8 directions of floating earth. You will die if you touch even a trace of it." "I don't believe it," Jiang Chun muttered. "Everyone says that the chaos is untouchable, but I still have 3 strands of chaos energy on my soul. The chaos energy is not weaker than the heaven's death fire and the floating earth, right?" Jiang Chun asked. However, these 3 things were fundamentally different. How could they be compared? Those who devour the floating earth from all directions will inherit the body of 3 deaths. Those who burn the heavens will inherit the body of 6 deaths. Devour the 8 directions. Burn the heavens will inherit the body of 8 deaths. At this moment, the 8 corpses spoke at the same time. They seemed to be telling Jiang Chun that he had to do this if he wanted to obtain the inheritance of Supreme God 9 Deaths. Jiang Chun's face darkened when he heard this. He pointed at the dirty ground and asked uncertainly, "You want me to eat the floating earth from all directions?" "Literally, that seems to be the case." The immortal bird Dao Hun had a strange expression. His throat twitched as he said, "Can this thing be eaten? It's the dirtiest thing in the world. It's disgusting just looking at it." "I want to try," Jiang Chun said softly. Supreme God 9 Deaths was the strongest in history. If he obtained the inheritance of Supreme God 9 Deaths, Jiang Chun would obtain a path to invincibility. Between invincibility and dirty soil, Jiang Chun would of course choose the former. "That thing, you will probably die if you touch it, and you still want to eat it?" The immortal bird Dao Hun squinted and said, "Although you are my master, and I shouldn't look down on you so obviously, you should know that the dirty soil is the floating earth from all directions. I should give it a try," Jiang Chun said in a low voice. 3 strands of chaos energy appeared on his soul. One wrapped around one of his palms, one protected his legs, and the last one was in his mouth. Chapter 684. Are you really going to give it a try? The undying bird Dao Hun exclaimed with a pale face. He and Jiang Chun were one. If Jiang Chun died, the undying bird Dao Hun would be gone too. However, the undying bird Dao Hun would not die. He would return to the great Dao and appear again after countless years to become another person's Dao Hun. During that period of time, the undying bird Dao Hun would feel like he was in a cage. He would not have a clear consciousness and would be in a daze. He did not want to experience that feeling again. Therefore, he was afraid that Jiang Chun would die. "Don't worry. With the chaotic chi protecting me, I should be fine," Jiang Chun said. However, he was a little nervous. After all, the floating soil was not a joke. It was the dirtiest thing in the world. According to legend, the floating soil was the source of evil in ancient times. Someone once saw a strange creature crawling out of the floating soil. It was very strange and ferocious. "It stinks," After a few seconds, Jiang Chun came before the floating soil. The stench assaulted his nostrils. Ordinary people could not stand the smell. It was so strong that it pierced straight into their souls. It was as if their souls were being polluted and they were about to fall into endless darkness. Even if you don't die, won't you be traumatized by swallowing the floating soil? The undying bird, Dao Han asked. Smelling the floating soil was enough to make one collapse, let alone swallowing it. What are you afraid of? Just seal your sense of smell and taste, Jiang Chun said. In the next moment, Jiang Chun stretched out a trembling hand and slowly approached the floating soil. He was afraid. If the chaotic qi could not protect him, he would be corroded and even die the moment he touched the floating soil. Am I okay? After several breaths had passed, when Jiang Chen's palm came into contact with the floating soil in all directions, many obscure ripples emanated from the primal chaos energy in his palm. The floating soil was silent. There was no sound at all. Jiang Chun heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the chaotic qi could suppress the floating soil. Then he grabbed a handful of floating soil, closed his eyes, and poured it into his mouth. Blurg! At this moment, Jiang Chun closed his eyes as tears streamed down his cheeks. Although he had sealed his sense of smell and taste, he couldn't block out the strange smell of the floating soil. A mouthful of soil entered his mouth, and an extremely strange taste spread out. Jiang Chun almost vomited. Is it tasty? The immortal bird Dao Han's feathers stood up. It felt like Jiang Chun had really gone crazy. The octagonal floating soil was disgusting to look at. Jiang Chun had actually eaten it. What was the difference between this and eating shit? No, it was even more disgusting than eating shit. Hiss. After more than 10 breaths, Jiang Chun resisted the urge to vomit and spat out a mouthful of floating soil. The next moment, Jiang Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt a great change in his body. It was like a great calamity. His internal organs were instantly shattered by the strange power of the floating soil. All the meridians in his body were broken, and even his heavenly star was cracked. Jiang Chun was shocked. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Was he going to die here today? The chaotic qi couldn't suppress the floating soil. The immortal bird Dao Han also sensed that something was wrong with Jiang Chun. It immediately split out wisps of immortal fire and added them to Jiang Chun's body. However, it didn't work at all. Under the power of the floating soil, the immortal fire was like a candle in the wind. It was extinguished immediately. Suppress it, Jiang Chun roared angrily. All his power exploded, and his body seemed to be covered by lightning. However, these powers couldn't withstand a single blow from the floating soil. At this moment, Jiang Chun was completely flustered. He knew that if nothing unexpected happened, he would die here today. What bad luck! I'm going to return to the great Dao again and spend a long time in a daze. The immortal bird Dao Han sighed. If Jiang Chun died, he would return to the great Dao. However, in the next moment, the ever-changing heavenly lamp emitted flames. The flickering candle flame in the lamp's wick burned fiercely at this moment. An extremely obscure aura filled the air, and shadows of all living things appeared. Vaguely, there seemed to be the sound of ancient and mysterious chanting coming from the ever-changing heavenly lamp. Even the talismans of the great Dao appeared out of thin air and wrapped around Jiang Chun like silk. It can turn the impossible into the possible. Is the ever-changing heavenly lamp going to defy the heavens? The immortal bird Dao Han exclaimed. He stared at Jiang Chun and prayed that Jiang Chun wouldn't die. Disperse! After a few breaths, Jiang Chun suddenly roared into the sky. A sword ray condensed in the wick of the ever-changing heavenly lamp and slashed down at Jiang Chun's body. A cold sword radiance slashed Jiang Chun's body into pieces. It even scattered all of the floating soil in his body. However, there was still a wisp of energy left in the floating soil. It was like a poisonous snake that bit into Jiang Chun's soul and couldn't be removed. However, at the moment, Jiang Chun was slowly recovering. He didn't feel any pain at all. He even had a strange feeling that he could control the floating soil in all directions, enter the evilest place in the world, and refine the strongest body in the world. Body of 3 deaths, present. At this moment, the 3 corpses spoke at the same time. Ancient scriptures exploded from the corpses and turned into a rain of light that entered Jiang Chen's mind. It was part of the succession of the 9 deaths supreme God. It could be used to cultivate the body of 3 deaths. What's the use of the body of 3 deaths? Jiang Chen frowned. He roughly comprehended the cultivation method of the body of 3 deaths and the results. This made him a little disappointed because the 3 deaths body had been cultivated to perfection, and the strength of his physical body was about the same as his current physical body. It seems like I have to accept the burning of the heavenly death flame to acquire the body of 6 deaths. Otherwise, the body of 3 deaths won't be of much use to me, Jiang Chen murmured. However, this time, Jiang Chen didn't dare to be careless. He backed away and sat down with his legs crossed to adjust his condition. The body of 3 deaths is enough. Even if you know how to cultivate the body of 6 deaths, you won't be able to reach the perfect stage. The undying bird advised, your body is already very strong. There's no need to take the risk. Now that the great opportunity is right in front of me, how could I give up so easily? Jiang Chen said, which cultivator in the world doesn't want to be unbeatable? Who doesn't want to dominate the world and dominate the 9 heavens? What if you die? Won't you regret it? Won't you regret it? The undying bird asked. If I die, it means I'm too weak, Jiang Chen said. Weaklings will die sooner or later in this world. Even if you don't want the succession, with your talent, you can still become very strong, or even unbeatable, the undying bird said. It was his acknowledgement of Jiang Chen's strength. However, Jiang Chen wasn't satisfied. Unbeatable? Was it really that simple? In his previous life, Jiang Chen had reached the supreme God realm and thought he was unbeatable. However, in the end, he couldn't even withstand the attacks of the 36 over-gods and died. That wasn't what true unbeatable looked like. Chapter 685. True invincibility was to stand at the top of the sky and not fall when facing thousands of enemies, looking down on the world, and no one dared to raise their head. Back then, Jiang Chen was the divine king with the highest cultivation in the 9 heavens divine world. But in the end, he still fell. Having the highest cultivation didn't mean invincibility. Jiang Chen knew very well that if he became the divine king again in this life, he probably wouldn't be invincible. He lacked a path to invincibility. And now, with such an invincible path in front of Jiang Chen, what reason did he have to reject it? What reason did he have to give up? In this era, the environment is changing. Maybe soon, there won't be only one divine king, and there will even be existences that surpass the divine king. Jiang Chen's expression was solemn, knowing that this era was different from the past. Take Godless Continent, for example. Now that the great Tao had recovered, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was rich, and all kinds of opportunities and fortunes had appeared. This was a glorious era. In this great era, there would definitely be some shackles that would be broken. In fact, this era was very likely to recover the glory of the ancient times. At that time, there would be more than one divine king. At that time, there would be existences that surpassed the divine king. Jiang Chen didn't want to go with the flow and drown in the waves. He also didn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past and reincarnate. As long as you think clearly, undying bird Dao Hun sighed. At most, I will return to the great Tao and muddle along until the next master appears. Wait and see, I can do it. Jiang Chen was very determined. He had to walk this path. Even if he walked all the way to the dark, he had to break the shackles in the darkest place and find that trace of light and hope. Since ancient times, there have been people who were invincible but not for long. That kind of invincibility isn't true invincibility, Jiang Chen said softly. If Supreme God 9 Deaths really exists, then he is the only one who is truly invincible. But you have to know that everyone's path is different. The path of Supreme God Nine Deaths may not be suitable for you. Undying Bird Dao Hun said. I know. Jiangchen nodded, but then shook his head and said, if it's not suitable for me, I will walk it, but it can only be considered as a reference. In the future, I will still choose the path that I want to walk. But for now, I should walk of the Nine Deaths path. As long as you think clearly. Undying Bird Dao Hun's eyes, undying Bird Dao Hun, and then fell silent. Jiangchen closed his eyes and calmed himself down to adjust his state. When he woke up half a day later, all of his injuries were healed, and he was back to his peak state. At this moment, undying two of ancestor to ancestor dragon. He divined to heavens, God undying, Jiang. Of him, his eyes were clear like the boundless stars, deep and profound. Moreover, there wasn't a trace of fear in them. Legend has it that the heavenly death flame can even burn the heavens. Today I'll give it a try. If I die, then it means that I'm not strong enough. If I persevere, then for a period of time in the future, I will have the right to speak in this world. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes. Then, he stretched out his palm and pressed it directly on the furnace. Boom! At that instant, a loud explosion could be heard as the heavenly death flame underwent a change. It turned black. It was like a dead sky, but it was more like boundless darkness. The perishable heavenly flame burned and spread from Jiang Chen's palm to engulf Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen couldn't help but let out a miserable shriek. His physical body crumbled in an instant, and his soul was shattered into pieces. Only a strand of his soul was protected by the million-change heavenly lamp. The Emperor's vine was also sucked into the myriad transformations heavenly lamp. Its branches withered, and the purplish golden luster disappeared. Even the undying bird Tao spirit in the distance was affected too. Its feathers fell off as it was engulfed in flames. Are you confident? Immortal bird Dao Hun asked weakly. He wouldn't die because the Tao spirit was an item of the great Tao. Even if he was burned to death, he would at most return to the great Tao. However, he didn't want to live a muddle-headed life. How can I die here after condensing the physical body of two divine kings from my previous life? In terms of physical body, even the three deaths body might not be stronger than me. In terms of divine spirit and soul, I've been refined 100 times. I'm not afraid of being refined. At that moment, Jiang Chen's broken soul roared furiously. The physical strength of two divine kings exploded, and their flesh and blood were reforged. Divine light filled the air, accompanied by the light of the million-change heavenly lamp. It was like a barrier that protected Jiang Chen. At the same time, the three strands of chaotic aura were rotating. Waves of energy and obscure aura spread out like a heavenly shield that protected Jiang Chen. However, there was still a strand of heavenly death flame that covered Jiang Chen's body. Every time Jiang Chen reforged his body, it would crumble in an instant. Over and over again, Jiang Chen suffered indescribable pain. However, he didn't die. He was hovering on the edge of life and death. At the most dangerous moment, the three strands of chaotic aura almost dissipated, and the light of the million-change heavenly lamp almost extinguished. I won't die. I can't die either. Jiang Chen roared furiously. I have many things that I haven't done. I have many wishes that I haven't fulfilled. I have many people that I haven't met in this life. I won't reincarnate again. I don't want to reincarnate again. Faith, obsession, fury, unyielding. All the complex emotions filled Jiang Chen. Buzz. Suddenly, Jiang Chen's body shook. The moment his body was reforged, a door opened in his body. That was the door to the great Tao that was born in his body after cultivating the incomplete heavenly manual. Under the heavenly death flame, the door to the great Tao was burned open. The door that was originally only a slit was now wide open. Qi of the great Tao spread out from behind the door, and fragments of the great Tao appeared. They were like scriptures and stars. Not only were they engraved in Jiang Chen's flesh, they were also engraved on his bones. Some of the fragments even turned into divine light and shone on Jiang Qin's soul. Jiang Qin didn't know what kind of power this was, but his condition was improving. The chaotic aura became denser, and the million-change heavenly lamp burned more vigorously. The essence, qi, and spirit in his body were recovering. Incomplete heavenly death line opened the door to the great Tao. Jiang Qin was enlightened, and his state of mind calmed down. He was still covered by the heavenly death flame, but he was calm. In the end, he closed his eyes and allowed the heavenly death flame to burn. Enlightenment, the undying bird Dao Han exclaimed. At the brink of death, Jiang Qin was enlightened. All skills are Tao. One force can break all skills, and all skills can defeat one force. It can change 1,000 times, and it can return to one. Jiang Qin's mind was clear, and he suddenly understood many things about cultivation. Gradually, Jiang Qin's cultivation started to increase. In half an hour, he broke through from the lower true God to the middle true God. However, the increase in cultivation wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that Jiang Qin's body was constantly being destroyed and reformed. The cultivation method of the three deaths body was automatically activated. One day later, 3 pieces of human skin fell off Jiang Qin's body, and they were stained with flesh and blood. This is the three deaths body, the undying bird Dao Han exclaimed. However, it was normal when he thought about it. After all, Jiang Qin's original body was no weaker than the three deaths body. Therefore, it was easy for Jiang Qin to cultivate the three deaths body. Chapter 686. The 9 Deaths Supreme God's technique didn't have a name because the world didn't even know if the 9 Deaths Supreme God existed. Of course, under normal circumstances, the 9 Deaths Supreme God's technique was named after his title, the 9 Deaths Technique. This technique was like the Phoenix tribe and the Undying Bird tribe, which could be reborn from the ashes and become stronger each time. However, the 9 Deaths Technique was more powerful than the Phoenix tribe and the Undying Bird tribe's nirvana. It was also more intense and dangerous. Using the floating soil and the heavenly death fire to refine the body, the Phoenix tribe and the Undying Bird tribe's nirvana technique was like child's play in front of the 9 Deaths Technique. At this moment, Jiang Qin had an epiphany and the three deaths body was completed. His physical body continued to reassemble and was no longer disintegrating. All this was because Jiang Qin's physical body was already extremely powerful. He had the holy body. Now that he had completed the three deaths body, his physical body was almost invincible in the same realm. Even though his cultivation level was one great state higher than Jiang Qin's, his body wasn't necessarily stronger than Jiang Qin's. Disperse. After a dozen breaths, Jiang Qin suddenly opened his eyes. The great Tao in his body roared. With a shout, the heavenly death fire on his body turned into smoke. In the next moment, the 3 corpses opened their mouths at the same time. At the same time, a rain of light rushed into Jiang Qin's mind. That was the cultivation method for the next body of 3 deaths. In other words, Jiang Qin had already obtained the cultivation technique of the 6 deaths body. This is very powerful, very difficult. After roughly comprehending the next 3 deaths body, Jiang Qin was stunned for a moment. In the end, he squeezed out the words, very powerful and very difficult. This was because the following 3 deaths body would have to experience real death every time. This was not child's play. Using the physical body to nurture the soul. Using the soul to nurture the physical body. The physical body was destroyed, the soul lived on, and the power of the soul was used to revive the physical body. The difficulty of this was indescribable. If the soul is extinguished, death is death. Jiang Qin said in a deep voice. It seems that to cultivate the next 3 deaths body, not only must one's physical body be strong, even one's soul must be incomparably strong. How powerful is the 6 deaths body? The immortal bird Dao Han asked curiously. Jiang Qin's eyes were filled with excitement. With the strength of his physical body, he can fight against a titled deity. Titled deity was not a cultivation base, but a special state after becoming a venerable god. In the past, there had been a story of a titled god going against a main god. This cultivation technique is a little crazy. The undying bird Dao Hun exclaimed. If he could fight against a titled deity with a body of 6 deaths, how terrifying would his physical body be? In that case, if he cultivated the 8 deaths body, wouldn't he be able to challenge an over-god with just his physical strength? What a pity! There should only be techniques to cultivate up to the 8 deaths body here. Jiang Chen sighed. The true 9 deaths body was something that even Supreme God 9 deaths had yet to fully comprehend. Otherwise, there would be 9 corpses instead of 8. The last step is to fuse the heavenly death fire and the floating earth. If I succeed, I will be able to obtain the cultivation technique of the 8 deaths body. The road to invincibility will be completely open before me. Jiang Chen was so excited that he could not hide his emotions. However, when Jiang Chen had devoured the floating earth, he had suffered a great calamity. After that, he had been burned by the heavenly death fire. If he had not been enlightened and opened the door of great Tao in his body, Jiang Chen would have been in danger. Now, he had to fuse the floating earth and the heavenly death fire at the same time. The danger level was not 1 + 1 = 2, but several times higher. Let me adjust first. Jiang Chen sat down with his legs crossed and calmed his heart. He started to adjust his state again. The immortal bird Dao Hun lay at the side and did not make a sound. At the same time, in the outside world, time's up. The stone tablet will be taken back. Everyone please go back. The old monk said. It had been 3 days since the stone tablet was opened. In these 3 days, almost everyone was comprehending the scriptures on the stone tablet. However, no one could understand it completely. However, since ancient times, no one had understood it completely. Therefore, no one was disheartened. The only interesting thing was not the stone tablet, but Jiang Chen. He had slept standing there for 3 days and did not move at all. No matter how others called out to him, Jiang Chen did not respond at all. It was as if he was dead. Nian Chang'e was very worried. He knew that something must have happened to Jiang Chen. At this moment, Nian Chang'e could not care about anything else. He carried Jiang Chen and left in a hurry. Why don't we go to the Heavenly Water Sect? Lan Qingshui said. He doesn't seem to be in a good condition. Let the elders of the Heavenly Water Sect take a look. Okay, Nian Chang'e nodded. However, before they left, they saw a flood dragon chariot coming from afar. On the chariot, there was a battle flag with the word Xian written on it. The Xian tribe is here. Flood dragon chariot. It's an elder. For a moment, many people exclaimed in surprise, because the Xian tribe rarely used the flood dragon chariot, and the elders in the tribe rarely showed up. Now, the flood dragon chariot was here, and so were the elders of the Xian tribe. Then, something big must have happened here today. Let's go. Nian Chang'e reacted quickly. When he saw the Xian tribe, he knew that they were here for Xian Xiaoma. All of you, stay here. However, the flood dragon chariot was very fast. In an instant, it landed in front of the everlasting hall. Then, a black-haired old man walked down from the chariot. His gaze swept across the crowd, and a majestic aura filled the air. Finally, his gaze fell on Xian Xiaoma. Xiaoma, tell me what happened. The old man frowned. Judging from his words, he must know what happened in the Flying Dragon Inn. I'm fine. Xian Xiaoma shook his head. Since you're fine, come back to the tribe with me. The old man said. He looked at Nian Chang'e and Jiang Chen and said, these two have to come with me too. What if I don't go? Nian Chang'e was anxious. If he went to the Xian tribe at this moment, it would probably lead to disaster. Moreover, Nian Chang'e was worried about Jiang Chen's safety when he was in such a state. How could he go to the Xian tribe? It's not up to you. The old man's eyes drooped slightly, and he said in a low voice, be obedient. Otherwise, don't blame me for bullying the weak. Senior, this person is related to my Heavenly Water Sect. Can you give the Heavenly Water Sect some face? Lan Qingshui stood out in time and protected Nian Chang'e behind him. The holy maiden of the heavenly water sect, Lan Shui? The old man frowned. There was no enmity between the Xian tribe and the heavenly water sect, so there was no harm in giving the heavenly water sect some face. Moreover, he'd come here today mainly to look for Jiang Chun. He can go, but this person must stay. After thinking for a moment, the old man pointed at Jiang Chun, who was on Nian Changa's back. His words didn't allow for a refusal. If I go, he goes too, Nian Changa said in a low voice. How could he leave Jiang Chun alone? If that's the case, I'm afraid I can't give the heavenly water sect face today. The old man's face darkened, and he said to Lan Shui, I'm the 9th elder of the Xian tribe. You can go back to the heavenly water sect and explain the situation. I don't think the heavenly water sect will interfere in this matter. What? The 9th elder of the Xian tribe? This guy is famous for his savagery. He never changes his mind once he's decided on something. Many people in the surroundings let out a few soft cries. This was because the 9th elder of the Xian clan could be said to be infamous in Eternal City. Chapter 687. The Xian clan's foundation was in the top 10 among all the forces in Eternal City. The 10 great elders of the Xian clan were even more famous. Xian Xiaoma's grandfather, the great elder of the Xian clan, was in charge of the Xian clan. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't take action unless it was a matter of life and death for the clan. As for the other elders, they were usually either cultivating or guarding outside the city, so they rarely showed themselves. Only the 9th elder of the Xian clan often walked around Eternal City to manage all kinds of trivial matters. Because of the Xian clan's strength, the 9th elder of the Xian clan was also very strong. He could even be described as ruthless. Back then, because of a small matter, the 9th elder of the Xian clan directly destroyed half of the other party's sect. Not only was he ruthless, but his cultivation was also profound. He had reached the god realm 1,000 years ago. Some people said that the 9th elder of the Xian clan could have broken through long ago, but in order to step into the mysterious titled God Realm, he stayed at the God Realm. Since the 9th elder of the Xian clan has appeared, this kid should be dead. Sigh. Offending the Xian clan will lead to a tragic end. Many people sighed. They were all cultivators and had sharp eyes. They could see that Jiang Chun was extraordinary at a glance. But now, the 9th elder of the Xian clan had appeared. If Jiang Chun was brought back to the Xian clan, even if he didn't die, he would become a cripple. Today, if I don't leave, he won't leave with you either. Nian Changa stood straight, and there was no fear in his eyes. Although he knew that he was no match for the 9th elder of the Xian clan, Nian Changa was still fearless. Of course, he didn't have any trump cards, but for his great senior brother, he didn't fear death. Jiang Chun had reincarnated several times, and many of his memories were incomplete. However, Nian Changa remembered many things. Jiang Chun had risked his life several times to save his life. I can't give the Tianshui sect face today, the 9th elder of the Xian clan said in a deep voice. He ignored Lan Shui and pushed his hand out. A majestic force exploded. It was like a tsunami, but it was well controlled. It turned into a ray of light and didn't affect anyone else. Under this palm, no one felt anything special. However, the old monk in the everlasting hall slightly narrowed his eyes and exclaimed in his heart, he's going to become a titled god. Senior, stop! Lan Shui exclaimed, her beautiful face losing color. He is Chang'an? Which Chang'an? The 9th elder of the Xian clan stopped abruptly. It was all because he thought of someone. Several eras ago, a young man had come to the Eternal Fortress. No one knew his surname, only that he was called Chang'an. At that time, the 9th elder had only just started cultivating. The edge of the earth, the peak of the sky, the great Tao slays the immortals. God punishing spear, heaven coiling shield. Only Chang'an can become an immortal. Lan Shui spoke softly. This was a phrase that had spread throughout the Eternal City and even the godless continent. And these words were referring to Nian Changa. What were immortals? That was what people called the unknown realm. Since ancient times, no one had ever seen an immortal, and no one had ever become an immortal. At that time, Nyen Changa was so high-spirited and arrogant. He didn't leave a famous quote, but the world left a famous quote for him, an arrow of peace. The ninth elder of the Xian clan narrowed his eyes. Fear and hesitation appeared in his eyes. He knew that Lan Qingshui wouldn't lie to him, and it was impossible for him to lie to him. After all, Chang An's identity was special. How many people in this world dared to impersonate him? However, the current Chang An didn't look right. His cultivation hadn't reached the true God realm yet. Senior, no matter how he is now, even if he isn't at his peak state, he is still Chang An. Back then, he stopped the foreign army by himself. Lan Qingshui said, "This is a great achievement. According to the rules of the Eternal City, you can't make a move against him." What you said makes sense. The ninth elder of the Xian clan suddenly laughed. He thought about a lot of things, and he thought about it very quickly. He immediately reacted. "I've never thought of making a move against him. The only person I want is him." The ninth elder of the Xian clan pointed at Jiang Chun and said to Nyen Changa with a smile, "Based on the two words Chang and I won't make a move against you today, but this person must be handed over to me." In your dreams, Nyen Changa was very determined. How could he hand over Jiang Chun? Wasn't that the same as pushing Jiang Chun into the abyss? The ninth elder of the Xian clan heard this and laughed strangely. He looked around and said loudly, "Everyone, you've seen it too. It's not that I want to make a move against Chang'an. He's forcing me." Is he really going to make a move? I've heard the name Chang'an from the elders. If he's really Chang'an, I'm afraid the ninth elder of the Xian clan won't really make a move, right? Everyone guessed that the ninth elder of the Xian clan was threatening Nyen Changa. However, Nyen Changa knew better than anyone that he was no longer who he used to be. His physical body had ascended. The current him wasn't as strong as before. Back then, Nyen Changa also remembered that he had a conflict with a newly risen family. Now that he thought about it carefully, wasn't that family the Xian clan? Therefore, Nyen Changa believed that the ninth elder of the Xian clan was really going to make a move against him. If I'm in peak condition, not to mention you, the ninth elder of the Xian clan, I can destroy the entire Xian clan with a single finger, Nyen Changa said coldly. It's a pity that you're no longer in peak condition, the ninth elder of the Xian clan teased. However, before he could make a move, the old monk of the everlasting hall said softly, "Leave a way out. Old thing, you're punished here to reflect on your mistakes. Don't interfere in my Xian clan's affairs." The ninth elder of the Xian clan was not polite at all. Hearing this, the old monk smiled bitterly and turned to enter the everlasting hall. Just as the ninth elder of the Xian clan said, this old monk had once made a mistake and was punished by the great sage to repent and not interfere in anything. Of course, very few people knew about this. In the eyes of many people, this old monk was still the great sage. Buzz! At this moment, the ninth elder of the Xian clan made a move. With a palm, he directly suppressed Nyen Changa to the ground. At the same time, a seal fell and actually sealed Nyen Changa's cultivation. He even left a shackle on Nyen Changa's soul. This was to cut off Nyen Changa's cultivation path in the future. "You have great achievements, so I don't dare to kill you," the ninth elder of the Xian clan teased. "But your future path is cut off." With that, the ninth elder of the Xian clan waved his hand and grabbed Jiang Chun. Then, he glanced at Xian Xiaomao and said, "Return to the clan. If the Xian clan dares to harm a single hair on his head, I will massacre the Xian clan." Nyen Changa roared. However, he was sealed and powerless. He could only watch in despair as the ninth elder of the Xian clan left. Massacre the Xian clan? Take care of yourself first. The ninth elder of the Xian clan did not even turn his head. He said lightly, "In a few days, you can come to the Xian clan's mountain gate to collect his corpse." Chapter 688. It was extremely quiet outside the everlasting hall. No one expected to see the legendary Chang in here. No one expected that such a powerful figure had yet to become a deity. No one expected that not only did he not become a deity, but he was also sealed by the ninth elder of the Xian tribe, cutting off his future cultivation path. Mu Yud, get over here! At this moment, Nian Chang'e struggled to get up and roared at the sky. He could not vent the anger in his heart. If Mu Yud had not stolen his physical body and hid it in the third mountain, his physical body would not have been able to gain sentience and ascend. If it had merged with his physical body, Nian Chang'e would be so powerful that he could not watch Jiang Chan be taken away. If anything happens to him, I'll kill you too, Nian Chang'e roared. I'll bring you back to the Heavenly Water Sect and think of a way to save him, Lan Qingshui said worriedly. You're not in a good state now. I hope the elders in the sect can find a way to undo your seal. Nian Chang'e did not say a word. He seemed to be in a daze. Or rather, his mind was filled with thoughts of how to save Jiang Chun. Just like that, Nian Chang'e was taken away in a daze. The people in front of the Everlasting Hall also dispersed. Half a day later, a man wearing a black cloak came to the Everlasting Hall. When he saw the empty Everlasting Hall, his eyes, hidden under the cloak, narrowed slightly. Then he formed a seal with both hands. Cryptic runes appeared, carrying the power of time. He brushed his hand in front of the Everlasting Hall. The runes flickered and reflected everything that had happened here. Looking back, this was a great supernatural power. Xian tribe? I'm afraid they don't want to live anymore, the man said softly and disappeared. At the same time, in a cultivation room of the Heavenly Water Sect, Lan Qingshui stood nervously at the side. In front of her, the current sect leader of the Heavenly Water Sect was checking the seal in Nian Chang'e's body. I can't undo it. The ninth elder of the Xian tribe used his own soul as a guide to place the seal. The sect leader of the Heavenly Water Sect sighed. Whoever started the trouble should end it. Sect Master, your cultivation is above the ninth elder of the Xian clan. Even you can't do anything? Lan Qingshui asked. A seal is called a seal because of its uniqueness. The Heavenly Water Sect leader explained. If a seal could be broken so easily, it would be called a spell. What about him? Lan Qingshui's face was full of worry. Master is in seclusion. If he can help, he might be able to break the seal, the Heavenly Water Sect Master said. The master he was referring to was the previous sect leader of the Heavenly Water Sect. However, his master had been in seclusion for many years. It was as if he was in death seclusion and would not come out. I'll go find him. When Lan Qingshui heard that there was still hope, he immediately turned and left. She was going to awaken the previous lord of the Heavenly Water Sect. Help me find someone, Mu Yud. At this moment, Nian Chang'e's face was gloomy. He didn't care about his own situation. He just wanted to find Mu Yud. That fellow had said that he was going to Eternal City to look for his old friends. Who knew how he was doing now? Now, their only hope was Mu Yuda. If Mu Yud's old friends were still alive, their cultivations would not be weak. At that time, they might be able to rescue Jiang Chun with the help of Mu Yud's old friends. Okay. The Heavenly Water Sect leader nodded. Nian Chang'e had helped the Heavenly Water Sect before. Now that Nian Chang'e was in trouble, the Heavenly Water Sect naturally wouldn't refuse. However, 3 days later, the Heavenly Water Sect leader sent news that Mu Yud was nowhere to be found in the entire Eternal City. This time, Nian Chang'e was completely enraged. His eyes were red as he stared at the void in front of him. He said coldly, Master of the Four Abyss, everything started because of you. The previous sect leader has come out of seclusion. At this moment, a bell rang in the Heavenly Water Sect. There were even people who began to shout. After 3 breaths, a cautious old man suddenly appeared in the cultivation room. He didn't say anything. Instead, he pressed his palm on the top of Nian Chang'e's head. Nian Chang'e didn't resist. The two of them remained silent. At the same time in the Xian clan, Jiang Qin was still in a coma. His consciousness and part of his soul were still in the stone tablet. F***CK. My body was taken to the Xian clan? Jiang Chun could see what was happening outside, and a worried look appeared on his face. He even started to get worried. I can't get out. Do I have to inherit the 8 deaths body to leave this place? Jiangchen asked. That should be the case. The undying bird Daohan nodded. He had already observed this place. There was no exit. This meant that he could only leave after inheriting the 8 deaths body. However, if he couldn't inherit the 8 deaths body, it meant that Jiang Chan would die here. He would be buried and burned by the heavenly death fire and floating earth. They didn't do anything to you. They must have other intentions, the undying bird Daohan said. They must have figured out my identity. Jiang Chen suspected that with the Xian clan's resources and methods, they must have figured out his identity. So, the current Xian race should want to get something from Jiang Chen. For example, the inheritance from his previous lives. He's dead. Something must have gone wrong with his cultivation. It's useless to keep him. A divine king has ended up like this. Beside Jiang Chen's physical body, the 9th elder of the Xian clan looked terrible. Ever since they brought Jiang Chen back to the Xian clan, they had tried to wake Jiang Chen up. However, it was to no avail. Jiang Chen was like a dead man. In the eyes of others, his soul was gone. He was completely dead. A dead man was useless to the Xian clan. Kill him and throw him out of the Xian clan. The 9th elder of the Xian clan sighed. What a pity. His inheritance. Are we really going to kill him? That's not good, right? Someone was hesitant and worried. If the people in the Eternal Castle know his identity and know that we killed him, the consequences will be severe. He was already dead when we brought him back. Who can be sure that the Xian clan killed him? The 9th elder of the Xian clan didn't seem to care. So what if we killed him? Now that we're facing a great enemy, are they going to fight among themselves and attack us? That's right. Since that's the case, let's kill him. The others agreed. Then, someone grabbed Jiang Chen and walked outside. However, when he walked out of the Xian clan's main hall, his eyes narrowed and he exclaimed, Lan Xian? I haven't been to the Xian clan for a long time. I just came out of seclusion today, so I came here to take a look. Lan Xian smiled. The previous sect master of the Heavenly Water sect, Lan Xian. What brought you here? The 9th elder of the Xian clan walked out. When he saw Nian Chang'e beside Lan Xian, he knew why Lan Xian was here. Let him go. Nian Chang'e's face was cold as she stared at Jiang Chen in the Xian clan's hands. She didn't hide her killing intent at all. Chapter 689. The previous sect master of the Heavenly Water sect, Lan Xian, had personally come to the Xian tribe. However, the Xian tribe was no weaker than the Heavenly Water sect. Normally, the Xian tribe would give Lan Xian some face if he personally came. However, it was different today. The Xian tribe knew Jiang Chen's identity and should know why Jiang Chen came to the Eternal City. In the Xian tribe's eyes, Jiang Chen would either be used by them or die. Moreover, today's matter would definitely spread. If Jiang Chen didn't die, he would naturally know what happened today. At that time, Jiang Chen would definitely come for revenge. The Xian tribe knew Jiang Chen's identity and how terrifying Jiang Chen's talent was. If they didn't kill Jiang Chen today, they would leave a problem for the Xian tribe in the future. Lan Xian, you better not interfere in this matter. Otherwise, the Xian tribe and the Heavenly Water sect will become enemies. The 9th elder said coldly and ignored Nian Chang'e. If you are willing to release his seal, I will not interfere. Lan Xian pointed at Nian Chang'e and said, he has a long history with the Heavenly Water sect. I must interfere in his matters. The 9th elder of the Xian clan frowned when he heard that. He was clearly unwilling. After all, Nian Chang'e was so powerful back then. If Nian Chang'e's seal was broken, the day he rose would be the day the Xian clan would be destroyed. Okay, I will release his seal, and you take him away. After a few breaths, the 9th elder thought it through. At most, he would release Nian Chang'e's seal now and think of a way to deal with him secretly. He firmly believed that the Heavenly Water sect alone would not be able to protect Nian Chang'e. After saying that, the 9th elder of the Xian clan formed a hand seal and a beam of light landed on Nian Chang'e. In an instant, the seal in Nian Chang'e's body was released and his cultivation recovered. Can we go now? The 9th elder stared at Lan Xian with an ugly expression. I changed my mind. I want to take him away too, Lan Xian said mockingly and pushed Nian Changa out of the Xian tribe. Lan Xian knew that there would be a huge battle if he wanted to take Jiang Chen away today. With Nian Changa's current cultivation, he would definitely die if he got involved in this battle. He was prepared to save Jiang Chen alone today. All of this was not because the Heavenly Water Sect had a good relationship with Jiang Chen, but because Nian Changa had helped the Heavenly Water Sect before. Lan Xian, you are too much. Don't think that the Heavenly Water Sect is not worth mentioning in front of the Xian tribe. At this moment, the elders of the Xian clan were furiously rebuking him. Even the ninth elder of the Xian clan was ashen. Lan Xian raised Lan Xian's head. Lan Xian was Lan Xian leader. Lan Xian raised his head, and his hair fluttered in the wind. His aura instantly erupted. He was a chief god-level expert. Furthermore, there were pearls that resembled raging flames floating around him. Fire elemental sovereign? I knew it. Back then, you had indeed become a titled god. You hid it so well. Why was there such a special realm as titled god after becoming a god? This was because once one stepped into the special realm of titled deity, one would be able to become a deity of the four major professions. Just like in the godless continent, after becoming a god, there would be many professions. Only after becoming a titled god would one be able to become a professional god. Professional gods were divided into four categories: elemental, summoning, martial, and shadow. Elemental gods were divided into the most categories, similar to spells. Lan Xian, for example, became a fire elemental god when he became a titled god and specialized in fire elemental spells. Now, he was even a fire elemental god. Lan Xian, do you have to do this for someone you don't even know? The ninth elder of the Xian tribe said in a low voice. His eyes were filled with anger, envy, and jealousy. Everyone in the Eternal City knew that the ninth elder of the Xian clan had a very deep foundation, but he had always remained at the level of a god because he wanted to step into the special realm of a titled deity. Unfortunately, after so many years, he was only half a step away from becoming a titled god. At this rate, he wouldn't be able to become a titled god without a few hundred or 1,000 years. Over time, the ninth elder of the Xian tribe developed resentment and jealousy toward those titled gods. They were all cultivators. But why was it so difficult for him to become a titled god while others could? I said that I saved him because of Chang, and Lan Xian said. Lan Xian said, back then, Chang and alone stopped the foreign army of tens of thousands. His achievements are engraved in Everlasting Hall. If he asked, how many old monsters in the Eternal City wouldn't help him? Lan Xian said, it's just that those old monsters are either injured or dead, and a few of them have even sunk into silence. Otherwise, I wouldn't be the only one here today, but a group of people. Just as you said, those people aren't here. They won't help. Now, the Xian tribe is one of the top 10 forces in the Eternal City. The ninth elder of the Xian tribe said in a low voice. I'll ask you one last time. Are you going or not? Fight. Lan Xian was very direct. When his voice fell, the sky changed color as if a raging fire was burning in the sky. The entire sky was about to burn. Looking up, there seemed to be a fiery meteor falling from the sky, covering the entire mountain gate of the Xian tribe. Lan Xian, I'll fight with you. Don't hurt the innocent. All of a sudden, a blue mist appeared in the sky and extinguished the outer, heaven-raging flames. Then, from the depths of the mountain gate of the Xian tribe, a middle-aged man stepped on the air and arrived in front of Lan Xian in an instant. The eighth elder of the Xian tribe. Lan Xian's expression turned serious. He knew that this person's cultivation was not weaker than his. Moreover, this person was also a professional master god. You're the fire elemental master god, and I'm the martial master god. I can fight with you, the eighth elder of the Xian tribe said. He pointed to the sky and said, let's fight outside. If I win, will the Xian tribe be willing to let him go? Lan Xian asked. No. The eighth elder of the Xian tribe raised his eyebrows and said jokingly, "We have 9 elders now. If you can beat all 9 of us, then we'll discuss letting him go." "Okay. Today, Lan Xian, will try and see how strong the 9 elders of the Xian tribe are." Lan Xian shouted. The 8th elder of the Xian tribe suddenly laughed and said, "If you can beat the 9 of us, then the Heavenly Water Sect will be above the Xian tribe in the future." Ha! Obviously, the 8th elder of the Xian tribe was very confident. He thought that he could defeat Lan Xian with his strength alone. As for the elders above, they didn't even need to do anything. Go to the top of the clouds and fight. Lan Xian didn't say much. His body was like a fiery, flowing light. In an instant, he arrived above the clouds and in the void. Chapter 690. The sky above the eternal city was like a void, dotted with shiny objects that resembled stars. The space here was special. It was enveloped by formations and restrictions, and there were also talismans hidden within. Boom! At this moment, above the endless clouds, in the ethereal void, the fluctuations of a great battle erupted. Explosions rang out incessantly. Raging flames surged, burning an expanse of the void red. At the same time, fist seals appeared, and each fist seal was as bright as the sun. Blood chi surged into the sky like fire. "Can the 8th elder suppress Lan Xian?" someone asked worriedly. One had to know that Lan Xian was extremely powerful. He was a fire elemental overgod, and his fire elemental techniques were unparalleled. The Xian clan's 8th elder had only become an overgod recently. Compared to a veteran overgod like Lan Xian, his foundation was still lacking. "Old 8 might not lose," the Xian clan's 9th elder said softly. "He's very strong." "Him? Lan Xian, or the 8th elder?" someone asked. The Xian clan's 9th elder didn't answer. His seemingly calm expression hid his nervousness. He knew very well that of the 9 elders in the Xian clan, 3 were in seclusion, and 2 were not in the Xian clan. Now, there were only 4 who could fight. The Xian clan's 9th elder's cultivation was obviously not enough to fight Lan Xian. Then, there were only 3 who could fight Lan Xian. If the 8th elder lost, then there would only be 2 left. "Kill him first," the Xian clan's 9th elder said in a low voice. He raised his palm and was about to land it on Jiang Chun. Lan Xian was currently fighting with the Xian clan's 8th elder. He didn't have time to care about Jiang Chun's life or death. At this moment, it was as if everything was already decided. Everything was about to end. "How dare you!" Suddenly, a furious roar rang out. Mu Yid appeared on the horizon, and there was an elder beside him. When he opened and closed his eyes, it seemed as if the sun and moon were moving in the depths of his eyes. A ray of cold light shot out like a silver snake and instantly locked onto the Xian clan's 9th elder. At the same time, a vast power erupted and wrapped around Jiang Chun, flying him toward Mu Yud. "You want to steal someone from my Xian clan? I'm afraid you all are overthinking things." The Xian clan's 9th elder shouted angrily. The clan's array formation rose up, and the phantom of a 9-headed snake appeared. One of the snake heads roared, and its forked tongue shot out, pulling Jiang Chun back. "Old bastard, if you dare to touch him, then I'll annihilate the Xian clan." Mu Yuda roared furiously, and he and the old man had already descended into the Xian clan. "Heh, the Xian clan is so lively today. Did you all come for him?" The 9th elder of the Xian clan raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully, "If the Xian clan wants to kill someone, nobody can stop us." "Don't the Xian clan know who he is? If you kill him, I'm afraid the great sage will be furious." The old man beside Mu Yuda said in a deep voice, "Let him go, and everything will be over." "No," Xian clan's 9th elder said coldly. "Since we know his identity, we can't let him go. If my Xian clan can't have it, then no one can." Mu Yuda's expression turned ugly when he heard this. He finally understood. Since the moment Jiang Chun had entered the Eternal City, his identity had been known by these top-notch families and forces. They wanted Jiang Chun's inheritance. Moreover, Muyuda guessed that the old man he called over today wasn't to give him face, but to get Jiang Qin's inheritance. At the same time, Lan Xian, who was fighting fiercely with the eighth elder, was probably also there for Jiang Qin's inheritance. One had to know that Jiang Qin was a divine king in his previous lives. Who wouldn't be jealous of a divine king's inheritance? Moreover, Jiang Qin had more than one divine king's inheritance. He's already dead. Just treat him as if he's dead. Why must the Xian clan kill him? The old man beside Muyu sighed and said, "Let him go. Just like you said, he's already dead. So he's already dead. Since that's the case, what's the difference between us killing him and not killing him?" The ninth elder of the Xian clan raised his eyebrows. "Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. What's the difference between you and the Xian clan?" "That's right. At least the Xian clan dares to do it and say it. Unlike some people who clearly want it but still pretend to be noble and virtuous." Many higher-ups of the Xian clan spoke up. What they said made sense. Today, no matter what, this person must die. The ninth elder of the Xian clan's expression darkened. He waved his hand, and a large flag appeared. Then the flag waved, and wisps of obscure aura filled the air. After a few breaths, two extremely powerful auras erupted from the back mountain of the Xian clan. Who dares to behave atrociously in the Xian clan? How dare you? How dare you behave atrociously in the territory of the Xian clan? At this moment, two old men flew over from the back mountain of the Xian clan. These two were the seventh elder and sixth elder of the Xian clan. Two overgods. They're not professional overgods. Muyuda was shocked. Fortunately, these two overgods weren't professional overgods. Their combat strength shouldn't be as strong as Lan Xian's or the old man beside him. "Old 7, old 6, I'll leave this old man to you," the ninth elder of the Xian clan said in a deep voice. "Don't let outsiders think that the Xian clan is easy to bully." "Old 9, what's going on? Why is old 8 fighting with Lan Xian?" the sixth elder asked. "It's all for his inheritance," the ninth elder said directly. "Unlike the Xian clan, we fight whenever we want it. We don't hide it." Today is getting interesting," the seventh elder said jokingly. "It seems that everyone knows his identity, right? I don't know if there will be more people coming later. This person is my inheritor. No matter what, I have to take care of his life and death, right?" At this moment, the desolate god's voice sounded. Then he stepped out of the void and landed in the Xian clan's mountain gate. "I thought that you would be here soon." The sixth elder of the Xian clan raised his eyebrows. "You've recovered? Or are you going to die in the Xian clan's hands today?" "You can try," the desolate god said coldly. "Anyone who offends the Xian clan will be killed." Suddenly, a cold and angry voice came from the flag in the ninth elder's hand. Then, the flag shook and the void exploded. A blurry voice seemed to come from an endless distance. He stepped on the chaotic mist and walked toward them. He was very fast, but he was very far from the Xian clan. It was as if he would never be able to reach them. However, when the people present saw the blurry figure, their expressions changed, and their expressions became nervous. Only the Xian clan members were excited. Someone even shouted, "The third elder is back." The third elder of the Xian clan. He's ranked third in the entire Xian clan. He's even more terrifying than the second elder. The old man beside Muyuda had a serious expression. He frowned and said to Muyuda, "Why don't we retreat? I'm not the third elder's match." Chapter 691. The third elder of the Xian clan had returned from afar. Even the old man Muyuda had brought was afraid of him. On the other hand, the Xian clan was extremely calm. One of them even sneered, "If you don't give us an explanation today, don't even think about leaving." Clearly, the Xian clan had the confidence and resources to do so. The third elder's return boosted the Xian clan's confidence. Chi! At this moment, flames suddenly erupted from Jiang Qin's body, which had been in a state of calmness. These flames were very strange. They were sometimes purple and sometimes black. They even contained the power of the heavens. The Xian man who had been carrying Jiang Chun started burning as soon as he came into contact with the flames. In just 3 breaths, he was burned into nothingness. Not even a wisp of ash was left. What is this? What a terrifying flame. Some people suspected that Lan Xian was secretly attacking. However, the battle above the clouds was still very intense. Lan Xian definitely didn't have the time to attack. So, what was going on with these flames? Let me see. An expert from the Xian clan focused his eyes. He specialized in fire-type spells and was very familiar with flames. He walked forward and touched the flame with his hand. Instantly, his entire body was set ablaze. He didn't even have time to scream before he was burned to ashes. I've never seen such flames. That's a high-level god. Many people from the Xian clan exclaimed. They even distanced themselves from Jiang Chen's body. How many people here dared to touch a flame that could burn even a god to ashes in an instant? It disappeared. A few breaths later, while everyone was still in shock, the flames on Jiang Chen's body disappeared. However, in an instant, an extremely stinky aura spread out from his body. Pieces of dirt appeared on his skin. The dirt was stinky, but it flickered with divine light. It seemed to be filled with divine matter. What is this? Someone was puzzled. He went forward to take a look. His entire body started trembling. He hadn't touched the dirt, but just the aura it emitted made his divine soul tremble. It was as if his divine soul was about to be corroded and melted. How many secrets does he have? The 9th elder of the Xian clan frowned. A chain appeared in his hand. He didn't want to kill Jiang Chen anymore. He planned to imprison him and see if he could get some secrets out of him, or even the inheritance of Jiang Chen's previous lives. Fortunately, I have the myriad transformations heavenly lamp and the 3 strands of primal chaos chi. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to fuse the heavenly death flame and the octagonal floating soil. At this moment, Jiang Chen's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Just a moment ago, he had merged with the heavenly death fire and the floating soil of the 8 directions. He would have died if it weren't for the myriad transformations heavenly lamp and the 3 wisps of chaos chi protecting his foundation and soul. Now everything was a success. The 8 deaths body was in his hands. Wang. It was also at this moment that a tremor came from the space. Ripples spread out and a gap appeared. Jiang Chun understood that he could leave this place now. However, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at the 8 corpses with a confused look in his eyes. Don't even think about these 8 corpses. These are the corpses of Supreme God 9 deaths. The undying bird Daohan had a strange look on his face. He thought that his master in this life was really bold. After experiencing the heavenly death fire and the floating soil of the 8 directions, he was now thinking about the corpses of Supreme God 9 deaths. These should be battle spirits, right? Jiang Chen muttered. What are you doing? The undying bird Daohan was shocked. When he heard the words battle spirits, his expression changed. You know that I'm proficient in all professions, Jiang Chen said. If I form a connection with these 8 corpses, can I summon them? Can I make them my battle spirits? Don't do that. If Supreme God 9 deaths is still alive and knows that you turned his corpses into battle spirits, he will kill you when he returns. The undying bird Daohan said in a low voice. He is the only invincible person recorded in the ancient books. TSK, he might not be invincible. Jiang Chen curled his lips. Maybe some people are stronger than Supreme God 9 deaths. It's just that they are not recorded in the ancient books. As he spoke, Jiang Chen formed a seal with his hands. He used the spirit summoning technique to form runes and seals, which landed on the 8 corpses. Boom! In an instant, there were continuous explosions. The 8 corpses went berserk, and 6 of them sank into the floating soil of the 8 directions. After a few breaths, another 1 sank into the floating soil of the 8 directions. In the end, there was only 1 corpses left. 1 corpses will do. Jiang Chen thought that he was not greedy at all. However, the last corpses went berserk. The heavenly death fire and the floating soil of the 8 directions spread out from its body. Then, it slowly sank into the floating soil of the 8 directions. Don't! Even half of it will do. Jiangchen panicked. The runes and seals fell like stars in the sky. In the end, only a finger was left. This one finger will do. After all, it was taken off by Supreme God 9 Deaths, Jiangchen mumbled. He kept the finger and threw it into the light door used for spirit summoning. One finger is a huge karma. You have destroyed one of Supreme God 9 Death's corpses. The undying bird Dao Hun's face turned pale. He felt that Jiang Chun was in big trouble. Jiang Chun did not care. He shrugged and said, "Who knows if Supreme God 9 Deaths is still alive? Even if he is, I don't think he is here. How can he control me? That kind of living being is extremely powerful. You can't imagine how powerful he is." The undying bird Dao Hun reminded with its inherited memory. If he is not dead and senses you, he can kill you instantly even if you are billions of years away. "I'm still alive and well," Jiang Chen chuckled. However, Jiang Chen's face turned pale after he said that. Still alive and well? No. His corpses were still in the Xian tribe. He was facing death now. At this thought, Jiang Chen couldn't stay calm anymore. His consciousness dashed out of the gap in a hurry. At this moment, Jiang Chen's consciousness returned. After his corpses shook a few times, his soul recovered, and he woke up from the dead state. He's alive? For a moment, many people exclaimed, wondering if this was a corpse that had come to life. He was already dead. How could he come back to life? They had never heard of this before. "You want my inheritance? Are you guys dreaming?" Jiang Chen looked at the Xian tribe and said bluntly, "Let's not talk about the fact that my memories are incomplete. Even if my memories were complete, I would not give my inheritance to you." "Boss!" Jiang Chen, Nian Chang'e, and Mu Yud exclaimed. They really thought that Jiang Chen was dead. "I'm fine. I made a mistake during my cultivation. I'm fine now." Jiang Chen smiled and pointed at the Xian tribe. Then, he looked at Mu Yud and asked, "Can you deal with him? Would you believe me if I said no?" Mu Yud smiled bitterly. "I believe you." Jiang Chen nodded. Then Jiang Chen turned around and grabbed Mu Yud and Nian Chang'e's shoulders. He shouted in a weird voice, "Retreat!" Chapter 692. Retreat? Mu Yudo was stunned. Before he could react, Jiang Chun had brought him to the Xian tribe's mountain gate. "The third elder of the Xian tribe is coming back. What are we still doing here?" Jiang Chun said angrily. "Let's retreat first. Do you think you can leave?" The ninth elder of the Xian tribe said disdainfully. With a wave of his hand, the protective array of the Xian tribe rose. In an instant, the entire Xian tribe's mountain gate was covered by a layer of fluorescent light. Jiang Chun slammed his head into the sky. His head hurt and his brain buzzed. He put down Mu Yuda and Nian Chang'e and quickly formed seals with his hands. He wanted to break the array. However, at that moment, an extremely terrifying aura descended. A black-haired elder stepped out of the passage. Instantly, the entire Xian tribe was enveloped by a terrifying pressure. "It's over." Jiang Chen's heart tightened. He looked back at the black-haired elder and knew that he was the third elder of the Xian tribe. His strength had reached the level of a Lord God. Furthermore, he was no ordinary Lord God. In front of such a person, no matter how powerful Jiang Chun was, he would not be able to escape death. "Old friend, why aren't you helping me?" Mu Yudo was anxious. He shouted at the elder he had called over. However, the elder closed his eyes. At this point, he no longer wanted to interfere. It would be good enough if he could keep his life. After all, no one would have thought that the third elder of the Xian tribe, who had gone on an expedition, would return. "Desolate God, do you want to interfere too?" The third elder of the Xian tribe was full of vitality. He did not show any signs of aging. He ignored everyone else and locked his eyes on the desolate God. In his eyes, the only person who could pose a threat to him was the desolate God. "If I retreat, won't others think that the desolate tribe is inferior to the Xian tribe?" The desolate God raised his eyebrows. His expression was calm. but there was a hint of contempt in his eyes. The Xian tribe and the Desolate tribe are equal in strength. Desolate God, why do you have to compete? The third elder of the Xian tribe said, Do you want to alert my brother? The first elder of the Xian tribe? Can he come out? The Desolate God mocked. If I'm not wrong, he must have been severely injured during his battle with the king of Otherworld, right? What a joke! My big brother's might is exceedingly high. How could he possibly be injured? He's just cultivating in seclusion right now. The Xian clan's third elder's face darkened. Oh, is that so? The Desolate God stared at the third elder of the Xian clan for a long time. Then, he laughed wildly and said, I see. I'll visit the Xian clan again in a few days. With that, the Desolation God turned and left. As he left, he did not even look at Jiang Chun. At this moment, Jiang Chun understood that he was nothing in the eyes of the Aragami. The Aragami was using him. The Desolate God had used Jiang Chun to test the condition of the Xian race's great elder. Now that the Aragami had tested the waters, the Aragami would naturally leave. As for Jiang Chun, the Aragami would not even bother with him. You're all using me as a chess piece? Jiang Chun laughed at himself. He was not strong enough and was being used as a chess piece by others. But was he really going to die here today? You've been a divine king for several lifetimes. You must have many secrets on you. Stay with the Xian clan from now on. At this moment, the Xian clan's third elder looked at Jiang Chun. His tone was calm, and there was no killing intent. But Jiang Chun knew very well that if he stayed with the Xian clan, he would be imprisoned. That kind of life was worse than death. Don't force me, Jiang Chun said coldly. He looked at Xian Xiaoma, who was hiding in the main hall, and said, She and I have a master-servant contract. If I die, she will die too. She should be the great elder's granddaughter, right? When these words came out, everyone in the Xian clan was shocked. The great elder's granddaughter had a master-servant contract with Jiang Chun? It would be difficult to make a move on Jiang Chun. A mere master-servant contract. What's the big deal? The Xian clan's third elder said mockingly. You should know about sovereign's might. Buzz! As his voice fell, the Xian clan's third elder flicked his finger. A ray of divine light entered Xian Xiaoma's body. In an instant, Jiang Chun felt that his connection with Xian Xiaoma had been severed. The contract had been forcefully broken. Do we have any more helpers? If not, we're all going to die here today. Jiang Chun's expression was ugly. No, I've searched a few times. The only one still alive is this old man. Mu Yud sighed. Mu Yud had lived for so many years. Those who were in the same generation as him were basically at the end of their lifespans. Those who were still alive were not in the same condition as before. Only Lan Xian, Nian Chang'e, was helpless. She raised her head to look at the sky. Lan Xian was still fighting. As such, it seemed that no one could help them now. Send them to the prison in the back mountain. At this moment, the Xian clan's third elder spoke. With a wave of his hand, he was about to imprison Jiang Chun's group. Boom! However, at this moment, there was an explosion. An extremely cold aura filled the air. Then, a lady tore apart the Xian clan's protective array with a flick of her finger. Then, like a fairy, she slowly landed in front of Jiang Chun. Han Linglong? Lady Boss? Jiang Chun's group was dumbfounded. Why was Han Linglong here at this crucial moment? Moreover, looking at Han Linglong, she seemed to be on their side. Han Linglong? The Xian clan's third elder was also surprised. He asked, What does this have to do with you? I'm taking him away. Han Linglong's voice was cold. She had always been like this. However, when she looked at Jiang Chun, there was a complicated look in her eyes. Love at first sight. I've seen this look before. Mu Yud was certain. He patted Jiang Chun's shoulder and said, Kid, you're not bad. Even Han Linglong fell for you. Get lost. Jiang Chun glared at him. How could there be love at first sight in this world? Han Linglong, the Xian clan must keep this person here today. Don't interfere, the Xian clan's third elder said in a low voice. His eyes were filled with fear. Then let's fight. Han Linglong was very direct. Cold air appeared around her, and the shadow of an ice mountain appeared behind her. She did not say much. She raised her hand and struck out. Cold air filled the sky, and the surroundings were frozen. How dare you? Han Linglong, don't think that the Xian clan won't dare to touch you. The Xian clan's third elder shouted. Han Linglong's attack had frozen hundreds of Xian clan disciples to death. I'm taking him away, Han Linglong said. If not, I'll destroy the Xian clan first and then take him away. So domineering. Boss, can you handle it? Nian Chang'e and Mu Yud were worried about Jiang Chun. If Jiang Chun and Han Linglong were to be together in the future, would Jiang Chun be able to handle it? At that time, would he have to kneel on a washboard every 2 to 3 days and be frozen every 5 to 6 days? What's with the look in your eyes? Jiang Chun was furious. At this time, these two were not serious. Chapter 693. Jiang Chun couldn't imagine what Nian Chang'e and Mu Yud were thinking, not to mention that they were in another country's territory. Were they out of their minds? How could they let their imaginations run wild at such a time? Han Linglong, this is the Xian tribe's territory. You can't mess around here. The third elder of the Xian tribe said softly as he pressed his hands into the void. Instantly, arrays and domains were activated. Light rain fell from the sky as golden lotuses took root in the void. A towering ancient tree stood tall as the entire Xian tribe's territory emitted a sacred radiance. An inexplicable pressure filled the air as if a divine king had appeared, suppressing everyone's strength. Han Linglong's expression changed slightly as she felt the pressure. However, she was not afraid at all. Instead, when she attacked, it became even more terrifying. Ice and frost rushed out like a huge dragon. Wherever it passed, the golden lotuses exploded and the ancient trees collapsed. Even the arrays and talismans hidden in the void were turned into dust. She was very strong and could wipe out anyone. However, just as the third elder of the Xian tribe said, this was the Xian tribe's territory. There were many arrays and restrictions here, and there were even killing arrays that even divine kings were afraid of. Han Linglong, are you forcing the Xian tribe's hand? The third elder of the Xian tribe shouted angrily. Don't think that the Xian tribe does not dare to touch you. If you want to, then do it. I've already made my move. Han Linglong was very direct. She pushed her hand forward, and the ice dragon roared as it charged towards the elders of the Xian tribe. At this moment, the third elder of the Xian tribe did not speak anymore. He formed a seal with his hands, and the arrays of the Xian tribe were activated. Domains, arrays, restrictions, and boundaries rose at the same time as if a 5-colored curtain was falling from the sky. The violent killing intent turned into blades, and sharp arrows appeared out of nowhere like meteors falling from the sky. Boom! Amidst a series of explosions, the ice dragon was shattered, and a violent force bombarded Han Linglong's body. Puff! With a muffled sound, Han Linglong took a few steps back. Blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth, and a helpless look appeared in her eyes. After all, this was the mountain gate of the Xian clan. Even if the cultivation of the Xian clan's elders was not as good as hers, Han Linglong was destined to be at a disadvantage if she were to fight with the Xian clan here. Aren't you afraid of my senior brother? Han Linglong said softly. It wasn't my idea to come here today. What? Yi Linglongs? At this moment, the higher-ups of the Xian clan cried out in alarm. Even the formation and restrictions calmed down. It was all because they were afraid of Yi Linglong. The man who was known as the strongest disciple had not appeared for a long time. However, his name had been passed down from prehistoric times to the present. The reason why Han Linglong had such a high status in Eternal City and could do as she pleased and no one dared to control her was because of the man behind her, her senior brother, Yi Linglong. Yi Linglong hasn't appeared for several eras. Who knows if she's dead or alive? You want to use Yi Linglong's name to scare us? Do you really think the Xian clan is a pushover? After a short moment of silence, the elders of the Xian clan were furious. They didn't believe that Yi Ling Long was still alive. It should be known that several eras ago, the battle in Eternal City was the most intense. At that time, Yi Ling Long was heavily injured. Many people were guessing that Yi Ling Long had already died several generations ago. It's up to you to believe it or not, Han Ling Long said softly. Han Ling Long spoke in a soft voice. She pointed at Jiang Chun with her slim finger. She said, if anything happens to this person, or if even a single strand of his hair is injured, the Xian race will disappear. You can't even protect yourself now. Yi Ling Long hasn't appeared until now. It seems like she really died in prehistoric times. The Xian clan was much calmer. If Yi Ling Long was still alive, she should have appeared by now. Since she hadn't appeared, the Xian clan was certain that Yi Ling Long was dead. Chi! All of a sudden, the void trembled, and a crack was torn open. Immediately after, a decree that flickered with divine light descended. On the decree, there was an ancient word Yi Ling Long's decree. He's not dead. At this moment, the Xian clan was shocked and even terrified. That ruthless person from prehistoric times didn't die. However, the Xian clan wouldn't retreat even if they only saw the decree and not the person. Unless Yi Ling Long comes personally. The third elder of the Xian clan said, moreover, there are many powerful people in our clan. The first elder and the clan leader have unfathomable cultivations. Even if Yi Ling Long comes personally, the Xian clan is not afraid. Sigh. Han Ling Long sighed angrily. She knew that her senior brother couldn't come personally. With her current strength, it was indeed difficult for her to take Jiang Chun away. In this way, Jiang Chun was in a dead end. Unless I die, no one here can touch you. At this moment, Han Ling Long turned around and looked at Jiang Chun with a complicated expression. Is this a confession? It's so romantic. At this moment of life and death, she actually confessed in front of the enemy. Nian Chang'e and Mu Yud were full of praises. They even patted Jiang Chun's shoulder and said, agree, right? You won't be lonely on the road to the netherworld. Nian Chang'e sighed and said, you'll have a beautiful woman to accompany you. I say, if I die here, do you think the two of you can survive? Jiang Chen's face darkened. At this time, the two of them were still not serious. Come on, one of you is the Lord of the Four Nether, and the other is the ancestral patriarch of Chang'an. Can't you be more normal with your identities? Can't you be more serious? Don't tell me the two of you still have trump cards? Look at how confident you are. Jiang Chen muttered, hurry up and use them. Otherwise, you'll all die with me. I really don't have any trump cards. Mu Yid smiled bitterly and said, however, although I can't defeat others, it's also difficult for others to kill me. After all, my origin is in the netherworld. As long as the netherworld doesn't collapse, I won't die. I left a remnant of my soul in the heavenly temple. I won't die either, Nian Chang'e joked. Now, the one who's most likely to die is you. What the F*** CK? Both of you have a backup plan? Jiang Chen's face fell. No one of these two looked so confident. It turned out they had a backup plan. Stay here. At this moment, the third elder of the Xian clan spoke. He activated the array and restrictions again. The light in the sky turned into chains. Like a black dragon, they fell toward Jiang Chun and the others. Han Ling Long stood up and stood in front of Jiang Chun. Her slender fingers pointed in the air, and streaks of ice burst out. It was as if she was going to freeze the entire world. Frost filled the air. It was as if even time was going to be frozen. However, under the many powerful formations and restrictions of the Xian race, the frost disappeared in an instant, and even Han Ling Long was imprisoned. It's over. Jiang Chun sighed. However, he was not afraid. At worst, he would be imprisoned in the Xian clan. Kid, I protected you in the godless continent. Why do you need me to protect you in the eternal city? Suddenly, outside the Xian clan's mountain gate, a young man walked in the air. Before he arrived, a terrifying aura had already descended. Hearing this, Jiang Chun looked back in surprise. When he saw the young man's face, he could not help but become excited. He exclaimed, grand ancestor? Chapter 694. It was a young man with a head of black hair that danced in the wind. His vitality was exuberant, like a dragon soaring into the sky. Jiang Chun recognized him at a glance. It was the ancestor of the Blue Sky clan, Blue Sky Confucian Scholar. Back on the godless continent, Blue Sky Confucian Scholar had protected Jiang Chun for a long time. Later, when Blue Sky Confucian Scholar's life was in danger, Jiang Chun shattered his godly king godhead to prolong his life. The two of them were inextricably linked. Now that Blue Sky Confucian Scholar had received the great saint's favor, his cultivation had skyrocketed, and he had regained his youthful appearance. Blue Sky Confucian Scholar? At this moment, the third elder of the Xian clan frowned and stared at Blue Sky Confucian Scholar. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to pick him up." Blue Sky Confucian Scholar pointed at Jiang Chun and said, "This is my savior. You can't kill him." Blue Sky Confucian Scholar. Don't think that just because the great saint thinks highly of you, you can interfere in the affairs of the Xian clan. The ninth elder of the Xian clan rebuked angrily. "What can you do with your little cultivation?" "Get lost." Blue Sky Confucian Scholar was stunned and seemed a little surprised. After all, there weren't many people in the Eternal City who dared to say, "get lost" to him. One had to know that the person behind Blue Sky Confucian Scholar was none other than the great saint of the Eternal City. Under normal circumstances, even sovereigns had to be courteous to Blue Sky Confucian Scholar. "Old Ninth, don't be unreasonable." The third elder of the Xian clan reacted quickly. He was well aware of Blue Sky Confucian Scholar's current status. After berating the ninth elder of the Xian clan, he smiled and said, "Blue Sky Scholar, I know that you came from the godless continent, but that's all in the past. Now that you're a member of the Eternal City, you should let go of everything that happened in the past." "Oh, how?" Blue Sky Confucian Scholar raised his eyebrows. "Do you want me to watch my savior die in front of me?" "We won't kill him," the third elder of the Xian clan said. "Not killing him, but raising him like a member of the family? What's the difference between that and being killed?" Blue Sky Confucian Scholar asked. As he spoke, Blue Sky Confucian Scholar was already standing outside of the Xian clan. Although the Blue Sky Confucian Scholar's cultivation had skyrocketed, he still wasn't strong enough to break through the Xian race's protective array. He stood there unhurriedly, and there was even a trace of a smile on his face. "Great ancestor, are you the only one?" Jiang Chun asked. He was a little flustered. After all, the Blue Sky Confucian Scholar's cultivation was there for all to see. With just him alone, the Xian clan probably wouldn't let Jiang Chun go. "I alone should be enough," the Blue Sky Scholar said with a smile. He looked at the people of the Xian clan in the distance and asked, "Are you going to let them go?" "No." The Xian clan's third elder's face instantly turned gloomy, and he said, "Outsiders shouldn't even think about interfering in the matters of my Xian clan, unless a great saint comes in person." With these words, the smile on Blue Sky Scholar's face vanished. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and a murderous aura emerged from his body. If his status alone isn't enough, what if I'm included? Right at this moment, a yellow dragon soared into the sky from afar, and a young man in a yellow dragon robe flew over. Li Fengze. Jiang Chun was shocked. He didn't expect Li Fengze to come too. The imperial lord of the Central Continent dynasty, Li Fengze. The Xian clan's third elder raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "You're just a junior. You don't have the right to make the Xian clan release them. If you don't want to let them go, then so be it." Li Fengze said softly, "But you have to think clearly. If you don't let them go, this enmity will be formed. The Xian clan should think clearly about whether your future path will be easy or not." "You dare to threaten the Xian clan?" The Xian clan's third elder glared. He was afraid of the Blue Sky Scholar's identity, but he wasn't afraid of Li Fengze at all. After all, Li Fengze wasn't the Blue Sky Scholar, and he didn't have a great saint behind him. However, it was said that there was an expert behind Li Fengze. As for who it was, no one knew. They were all guessing. Take them away. At this moment, the Xian clan's third elder didn't say anything else. With a wave of his hand, chains appeared and wrapped around Jiang Chun and the others, locking them in the back mountain of the Xian clan. Kacha. However, suddenly, a crisp sound was heard. The dragon-like chains cracked, and then the Xian clan's third elder's body flew backward. Halfway through, his physical body collapsed, and only half of his soul was left. He had almost died. Who dares to attack the Xian clan's third elder? Aren't you afraid of starting a war? Everyone in the Xian clan exclaimed, but they couldn't see who had attacked. At this moment, even Jiang Chun and the others were puzzled. Who had attacked? Xian clan, you've gone too far. After a few breaths, an ethereal voice sounded. Then, the world suddenly darkened as if it was enveloped by an invisible hand. Looking up, the stars in the sky were covered, but two brilliant suns appeared. That's a pair of eyes? Vast. Brilliant. Everyone was shocked. What kind of creature was that? A pair of eyes as bright as the sun. The sky moved? A higher-up of the Xian clan exclaimed. He saw that the dark sky seemed to be shaking. It's that creature's body. There were people who were shocked. When they looked carefully, they found that what covered this world and made heaven and earth lose color wasn't some magical technique, nor was it some divine ability, but rather an enormous body. Dragon, Dark Knight True Dragon. At this moment, everyone in the Xian clan was terrified. It was all because they knew who this creature was. Han Linglong was a prehistoric frost true dragon, and her senior brother was the Dark Knight True Dragon. Yi Linglong, not dead? The Xian clan's people were scared. No one had expected that Yi Linglong, who was known as the strongest disciple, was still alive. Furthermore, from the looks of it, he seemed to be even more furious. Furthermore, he was truly furious at this moment. Yi Linglong. At this moment, the Xian clan's third elder had rebuilt his physical body and stabilized his soul. Cold light flashed in his eyes. He took the flag and wanted to wake up the Xian clan's second elder and first elder. Xian clan, you should rejoice that he's fine. Otherwise, today would be the day of the Xian clan's destruction. Yi Linglong's huge body filled the entire sky. All the creatures in the Eternal City saw this scene and heard Yi Linglong's voice, especially those who knew Yi Linglong. At this moment, they were all guessing what had happened to alarm the Dark Knight True Dragon, who had been in seclusion for several eras. Let's go to the Xian clan and take a look. Xian clan? This clan has been a bit too noisy recently. I didn't expect that the Xian clan would meet a tough opponent this time. They actually provoked Yi Linglong. Instantly, many experts secretly came and stood in the void outside the Xian clan's mountain gate. At the same time, the Xian clan's third elder waved the flag in his hand. Wisps of obscure aura spread out. After a dozen breaths, a powerful aura erupted from the back mountain of the Xian clan. A middle-aged man in a battle robe rushed out. Yi Linglong? The man saw Yi Linglong as soon as he came out. He immediately turned pale and exclaimed in surprise. Second Elder! Greetings, Second Elder! Everyone in the Xian clan was excited. They thought that since the Second Elder had come out of seclusion, he should be able to settle this matter. However, what they didn't expect was that the Second Elder didn't ask for the reason. He directly bowed to Yi Linglong and apologized. Senior Yi, no matter what, the Xian clan is in the wrong. Can you let the Xian clan off? Chapter 695. The Xian clan's second elder was extremely powerful and had reached Lord-level cultivation several eras ago. However, when facing Yi Linglong, he did not ask about the cause and effect of this matter and directly admitted his mistake. Moreover, when he saw that Yi Linglong did not react, he actually knelt down and bowed deeply. Such an attitude of admitting his mistake could be said to be an utter disgrace to a former Lord-level master. If everyone in the Xian clan is like you, this matter can be forgotten. Yi Linglong hovered in the air, her huge body not changing at all. Just like several eras ago, Yi Linglong was also like this. She was never willing to transform into her human form unless it was a battle of life and death. The Xian clan's second elder also knew this. When he saw that Yi Linglong did not transform into her human form, he knew that there was still room for redemption. Did you all hear that? Like me. The Xian clan's second elder said in a deep voice. When he finished speaking, a wave of pressure erupted from his body. Once an upper lord-level pressure erupted, it was as if the sky was collapsing. Everyone in the Xian clan was moved. In fact, even the third elder was forced to kneel under this pressure. Forget it. This matter is over, Yi Linglong said softly as her figure gradually dimmed in the air. However, at that moment, the Xian clan's second elder suddenly looked up and asked very carefully, Senior Yi, can you tell this junior how you are related to this person? I am known as the strongest disciple, Yi Linglong said before disappearing completely. Once this was said, everyone could not help but feel puzzled. What did the strongest disciple have to do with Jiang Chun? Could it be him? The Xian clan's second elder's expression changed drastically, and his body started to tremble. He looked at Jiang Chun, who was protected behind Han Linglong. Not only was his eyes filled with shock, but they were also filled with fear. Was it really him? That mysterious man? Second elder, what exactly is going on? After Yi Linglong left, the Xian clan's third elder stood up with a displeased expression and questioned the Xian clan's second elder. We, the great Xian clan, are really afraid of Yi Linglong? The Xian clan's ninth elder was also very puzzled. He knew his second elder brother's strength. He could be said to be outstanding among overgods. However, before Yi Linglong, he was actually so lowly. In prehistoric times, he was called the strongest disciple. The second elder of the Xian clan said in a low voice, because at that time, he wasn't the strongest in that era. It was his mysterious master. Apart from his master, he is the strongest. The second elder of the Xian race said, she was a master god in prehistoric times. Now several eras have passed. Do you think Yi Linglong is still a master god? You mean the divine king? The third elder of the Xian clan exclaimed. One had to know that a few eras ago, there was more than one divine king. At that time, the great Tao of heaven and earth and the environment were different from now. At that time, in every era, as long as you had enough talent and cultivation resources, you had a chance to break through to the God-King realm. With Yi Linglong's talent and aptitude, the Xian clan's second elder firmly believed that after so many years, she had definitely become a divine king. The Xian clan's second elder even guessed that Yi Linglong's cultivation might have surpassed the godly king realm. He is one of the guardians of the outer city of the eternal city. Without sufficient cultivation and fighting strength, how could he become a guardian? The second elder of the Xian clan said. With that, the Xian clan's second elder stood up and walked in front of Jiang Chun. He didn't bow. He simply nodded and said, Fellow Taoist, today's matter is the fault of the Xian clan. Everyone in the Xian clan also acknowledges their mistakes. Can you let this matter pass? Let this matter pass? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows and said bluntly, hand over that cultivation method. That cultivation method is mine to begin with. The Xian clan's second elder's expression changed slightly. He seemed to be in a difficult and unwilling position. That cultivation method was personally bestowed to the Xian clan by a great saint. It cannot be changed, the second elder said. To put it simply, what will it take for you to give it to me? Jiang Chun said in a low voice, it was originally mine. Even a great saint does not have the right to bestow something that belongs to me to another person. My Xian clan achieved great feats on the battlefield. That's how we obtained the thick earth divine formula. If you want the thick earth divine formula, then you must achieve supreme merits like the Xian clan. When that time comes, the Xian clan will return it to you. The Xian clan's third elder's attitude towards Jiang Chun was still very unfriendly. The Xian clan's ninth elder also nodded. He agreed with the Xian clan's third elder. The Xian clan used the entire clan's power to achieve supreme merits. Now you want him, a true god, to go to the battlefield. Aren't you sending him to his death? Han Ling Long's pretty face froze. A layer of frost appeared in her eyes. She coldly stared at the Xian clan's second elder in front of her and said, "Do you want my senior brother to do it again? This matter is related to a great saint." The Xian clan's second elder said, "Something bestowed by a great saint cannot be easily changed unless the great saint agrees. A great saint will appear for such a small matter?" Han Ling Long said in a low voice, "Forcefully taking someone else's things, and now that the owner is here, you are not willing to return it. The Xian clan's reputation as villains is indeed not undeserved." Han Ling Long, you are not Yi Ling Long. The Xian clan's third elder angrily rebuked, "If you really provoke the Xian clan, we will start a civil war. The Xian clan will no longer guard the Eternal City. You can try." Han Ling Long raised her eyebrows. "The True Dragon clan is not weaker than the Xian clan in the Eternal City." Hearing this, the Xian clan's expressions changed drastically. It was only now that they realized that Yi Ling Long was not the only one standing behind Han Ling Long. There was also a group of true dragons. However, there were very few true dragons in the Eternal City. However, the strength of each true dragon was definitely at the Master God level. Achieving great merits is naturally impossible with my current cultivation. If the Xian clan really wants to return it, you can use another method, Jiangchen said. He also did not want to see the True Dragon clan and the Xian clan go to war. Since Senior Yi has already come, we naturally have to give you face. The Xian clan's second elder said, "Give the Xian clan 3 days. At that time, we will inform you how to get the thick earth divine skill. Is that okay?" "Then 3 days it is." Jiangchen nodded and said. After that, Jiangchen did not say another word. He turned around and left directly. "Where are you going?" Han Ling Long asked. "To see some old friends." Jiangchen smiled and said, "This time, thank you." "Thank you." Han Ling Long was surprised. That was because, in her impression, that person would never say thank you. All he possessed was domineering, and an aura of arrogance that shot into the sky and awed the heavens. "You are not allowed to go anywhere. Come back to the Flying Dragon Inn with me," Han Ling Long said in a low voice. Her words did not allow Jiangchen to resist. Mu Yud and Yin Chang'e at the side snickered and teased. "Boss, are you going to the bridal chamber? With your powerful divine body, if you mate with the True Dragon clan, the child you give birth to might be the holy ancestral dragon." Mu Yud's face was full of anticipation. At that time, the Dragon clan will be revived. "Get lost! Shut up!" Jiangchen was furious. The crisis had just been resolved, and the two of them were being naughty again. Sometimes, Jiangchen thought that when he first met Yin Chang'e, she was not like this. Could it be that Mu Yud had led her astray? It seems that the people around me have to interact less with Mu Yud in the future, Jiangchen thought. Chapter 696. Blue Sky Confucian Scholar and Li Fengzi left. Their identities were special, and they couldn't leave their residence for too long. Mu Yud also left, saying that he had to visit a few old friends. Maybe those old monsters were still alive. Yin Chang'e wanted to follow Jiangchen, but she was called away by Lan Xian. Something must have happened. In the end, Jiangchen and Han Ling Long returned to the Flying Dragon Inn. Jiangchen thought that Han Ling Long had something to say to him. However, to his surprise, Han Ling Long was gone when he came back. Jiangchen was left alone in the room. "What's going on?" Jiangchen was puzzled. Jiangchen was already puzzled when Han Ling Long helped him. Then, even Yi Ling Long came. What was going on? However, Jiangchen had a strange feeling that Han Ling Long seemed to have known him a long time ago. Maybe Han Ling Long had the same feeling. Otherwise, why would she go to the Xian clan to help Jiangchen for no reason? Forget it. I'll find out eventually. Jiangchen sighed. Jiangchen had a lot of doubts and questions in his heart, but he knew that these things couldn't be rushed. He would eventually find out what he needed to know. What was the point of thinking so much? It was better to look at the present and look forward to the future. As for what happened in the past, he would put it to the back of his mind. The battle in the Eternal Fortress is very intense. Why is it so peaceful after I came? Jiangchen muttered. Previously, when he was in the Godless Continent, the Eternal Fortress had summoned all the major sects and forces. The battle must have been very dangerous. But now, Jiangchen had been in the Eternal Fortress for a few days. He hadn't seen a single foreign creature, nor had he heard of any war breaking out. Could it be that the battle outside the Eternal Fortress had stopped? The Desolate God isn't a good person either. He's lived for so long, and his eyelashes are hollow. How dare he use me as a pawn? At this moment, Jiang Chen's face darkened slightly. On the Godless Continent, the Desolate God's reputation was very strong and good. However, who would have thought that the first person to plot against Jiang Chen would be the Aragami? In any case, Jiang Chen had also inherited the Baron Sword intent, and could be considered as one of the Aragami's successors. The forces in the Eternal Fortress are intricate and complicated, but there are basically no internal conflicts. At most, there are small-scale battles. Jiang Chen thought that he had to think of a way to join a sect, family, or power in the future. This was the only way to protect oneself in the Eternal Fortress. Of course, Jiang Chen had no intention of joining the Zhongzhou dynasty and the Qin Kong tribe. After all, they had just entered the Eternal Citadel not long ago. They didn't have a deep foundation and hadn't gained a firm foothold yet. If Jiang Chen were to join them, he might cause them trouble. At that time, it would affect the future of the Central Continent Imperial Dynasty and the Blue Sky Clan. Why don't I hug Han Linglong's thigh tightly? Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. At the very least, Han Linglong was a god king. At the very least, she was a top-tier sovereign. There were even rumors that Han Linglong's cultivation would have broken through to the god king level if it wasn't for some accident with her body. In addition, she had Yi Linglong behind her. If he could tie himself to Han Linglong, Jiang Chen would be able to walk openly on the streets in the Eternal Fortress, even if he couldn't do whatever he wanted. Who is it? All of a sudden, Jiang Chen's pupils contracted. He felt a special aura in the room. It was somewhat familiar, but also unfamiliar. This feeling was very strange. It was both near and far, making it hard to grasp. Jiang Chen? At this moment, a black figure appeared in front of Jiang Chen. Then, the black fog on his body dissipated, and a slender man appeared in front of Jiang Chen. However, he looked like a young man. His body was full of vitality, his divine court was full, and his lifespan was immeasurable. You are? Jiang Chen was puzzled. The aura emitted by this young man was actually somewhat similar to his. Looks like you really don't remember me. The man smiled bitterly. A trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. He sighed faintly. You were so powerful back then, but you didn't appear in front of the world. Now that you appear in front of the world, you don't get the respect you deserve. You are even threatened, and your life is even threatened. Used to? Which life? Jiang Chen asked. Jiang Chen now knew that he had a total of 3 lives. Tian Yuan, Tian Xian, and Tian Chun in his previous life. And this man obviously knew Jiang Chen in the past. However, Jiang Chen couldn't be sure which life it was. Let's not talk about this anymore. The man's expression calmed down. A trace of mockery flashed in the depths of his eyes. He said, previously I helped you in the Xian clan. Shouldn't you at least thank me? Help me? You are Yi Linglong? Jiang Chen exclaimed. He didn't expect that such a legendary figure would actually be standing in front of him alive. Thank you for saving me, Jiang Chen said seriously. Although he couldn't repay the favor of saving his life now, he had to be grateful. Haha, at this moment, Yi Linglong suddenly laughed exaggeratedly. She held her stomach and said, Junior sister is right. In this life, you actually learned how to thank people. What's so strange about that? Jiang Chen was stunned. Wasn't it normal to owe someone a favor and say, thank you? In the past, you saved the world, but you also committed a heinous crime. You never said a word of apology. In the past, when you were starting out, you received help from so many people, but you never said a word of thanks. Yi Linglong said softly, Now, you are different. I am who I am, Jiang Chen said. although there is reincarnation, and I don't know how many reincarnations I have experienced in this life, I am who I am. Reincarnation? Yi Linglong's expression suddenly changed. A dark night seemed to appear in her eyes. She stared at Jiang Chun, which made Jiang Chen's scalp tingle. After a few breaths, Yi Linglong asked, "Do you really believe in reincarnation?" "I have always been reincarnating." "Why wouldn't I believe?" Jiang Chen asked. "Then tell me, what is reincarnation?" Yi Linglong asked. When these words came out, Jiang Chen couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. What was reincarnation? Shedding the body of the previous life, the soul entering a certain path, and when it reached the end, it came out as an infant. Was this reincarnation? Without the body of the past, without the memories of the past, without everything of the past, is this reincarnation? Yi Linglong said, "This is just a kind of evolution, a kind of transformation like the nirvana of a phoenix. There is no such thing as reincarnation in this world." When these words came out, Jiang Chun immediately disagreed. After all, he had really experienced reincarnation. Some time ago, I felt that the Empress was born. Yi Linglong said, when she was born, there should be people chasing after her, right? It seems so. Jiang Chun recalled that when the Empress was born, she directly went into hiding. There is no reincarnation. There is only a kind of forbidden technique. Yi Linglong explained, using that forbidden technique is what people call reincarnation. And anyone who uses that forbidden technique will be targeted by a group of mysterious creatures. They will be chased, suppressed, and even destroyed. What forbidden technique? Do you have evidence? Jiang Chen asked. Chapter 697. The topic of reincarnation was too profound. If she didn't have solid evidence, no matter what Yi Linglong said, Jiang Chen wouldn't believe her. Evidence? I really don't have it. Yi Linglong smiled bitterly. A trace of resentment flashed in her eyes. She said, "If you were willing to tell me back then, I would have evidence." This. Jiang Chun was speechless. He did not even know who he was back then. Who are you trying to show your resentment to? Reincarnation is a very mysterious thing. If you believe it, it exists. If you don't, it doesn't exist. Yi Linglong looked up at the sky and said meaningfully, "I have been to the ninth heaven divine world." And then? Jiang Chen asked. With Yi Linglong's cultivation, she could naturally go to the ninth heaven divine world. After all, he was at least a divine king now. There is a training ground there that is listed as a forbidden area. Yi Linglong pointed above her head. That place used to be your training ground. There are things you left there. Continue. Jiang Chen's heart was itching. Yi Linglong always spoke halfway. If you see the things inside, you might not believe in reincarnation. Yi Linglong sighed, including the Empress and the others. The Empress and the others? Jiang Chen whispered. Then his eyes narrowed. He said, "In this world, there are many people like me?" "Of course," Yi Linglong said. "From the beginning of the world until now, more than one person has obtained that forbidden technique. Therefore, there are many people who have reincarnated. You're just one of them." Yi Linglong's expression became strange. She muttered, "Of course, you are the one who has reincarnated the most. Can you tell me why I have to reincarnate continuously?" Jiang Chen asked. Speaking of which, Jiang Chun was also very puzzled. According to some clues, this was Jiang Chen's 10th reincarnation. Before this, he had reincarnated 9 times. Why would a person reincarnate so many times? When he was Tian Yuan and Tian Xian Divine King, Jiang Chen knew that it was because he died in battle, so he reincarnated. But what about the other lives? Could it be that the other reincarnations had all died? Isn't this a little too many deaths? You have to ask yourself, Yi Linglong said unhappily. I don't think anyone knows why you want to reincarnate. That's strange. If I don't want anything, why do I have to reincarnate? Could it be that he was forced? Jiang Chen muttered. However, in those lifetimes, Jiang Chun was extremely powerful. Unless he died in battle, who could force him to do anything? Could it be that there was someone even stronger in this world? Was it similar to the legendary Supreme God Nine Deaths? It's fine. I came here today to see you. Yi Ling Long waved her hand and said, "You are no longer who you were before." After saying those words, Yi Ling Long turned around and prepared to leave. At this moment, Jiang Chen hurriedly opened his mouth and said with a red face, "What should I do in the Eternal Fortress from now on?" "What do you think?" Yi Ling Long chuckled. "My name, Yi Ling Long, carries enough weight in this Eternal City." "Oh, I see," Jiang Chen said with a smile. He felt more confident now. It seemed that Yi Ling Long was protecting him. With Yi Ling Long's protection, Jiang Chen could walk around the Eternal Fortress openly, even if he couldn't do as he pleased. "Since you are so strong, why don't you help me get the thick Earth Divine Art back?" Jiang Chen laughed and said, "With your strength, the Xian clan won't disagree, right?" Yi Ling Long's face turned ugly when she heard that. She glanced at Jiang Chen and said unhappily, "The Xian clan is ranked in the top 10 in the Eternal Fortress. Naturally, they have their own strength and foundation. You don't really think that I can destroy the entire Xian clan with my strength alone, do you?" Moreover, the thick Earth Divine Art was personally bestowed to the Xian clan by the Great Saint. Without the Great Saint's consent, it's already not bad that the Xian clan is willing to negotiate and return the thick Earth Divine Art to you. Otherwise, you can't do anything if they decide not to return it. Is the Great Saint's position in the Eternal Fortress so high? Jiang Chen asked curiously. It wasn't the first time he heard the words Great Saint. Even the old monk guarding the Everlasting Hall was a Great Saint. In the past, there were 3 Great Saints in the Eternal City. After a great battle, one of them died, and the other was punished to guard the Everlasting Hall, Yi Ling Long explained. And the strongest one is the Great Saint that the world speaks of. He is very mysterious and his origin is unknown. We only know that he was there from the moment the Eternal Fortress was built. "How long has the Eternal Fortress been built?" Jiang Chen asked. "I'm not sure." Yi Ling Long shook her head. The Eternal Fortress had already existed in Yi Ling Long's era. And that was the Primordial Era. Even Yi Ling Long was curious about what era it was before the Primordial Era and what kind of people built the Eternal Fortress. With Yi Ling Long's strength, she didn't have the ability to build the Eternal Fortress. And according to the ancient records, it wasn't a few people who built the Eternal Fortress, but only one person. That person established an imperishable city with his own strength, stopping the foreign invasion. There's one more thing to remind you. Yi Ling Long walked to the door and suddenly remembered something. Since you've come to the Eternal Fortress, you must be prepared to die in battle at any time. "I have to fight too?" Jiang Chen was stunned. Although Jiang Chen's battle strength was very strong, his cultivation was too low. He was only a true god. With this cultivation, could it be that he had to fight against the foreign creatures? Wouldn't that be courting death? All the creatures in the Eternal Fortress are like this. Yi Ling Long sighed. Without blood and tears, without life and death, the Eternal Fortress would have collapsed long ago. "Then when should I join the battle?" Jiang Chen asked. "When it's time," Yi Ling Long said. In the end, Yi Ling Long left, leaving Jiang Chen alone. Jiang Chen didn't think too much. He sat cross-legged and started to cultivate. Just like that, 3 days later. During these 3 days, Han Ling Long didn't appear. Even Mu Yud and Nian Chang'e didn't come. This made Jiang Chen a little puzzled. Han Ling Long brought him to the Flying Dragon Inn, but disappeared. What was the meaning of this? "Jiang Chen, the Xian clan invites you." On this day, a Xian clan consecrator arrived outside the Flying Dragon Inn. He didn't enter the inn, but instead shouted outside the inn. "The Xian clan's business is good? How will they return my thick Earth Divine Art?" Jiang Chen asked. "You'll know when you get there." The consecrator didn't have a good expression. After all, Jiang Chen's matter had embarrassed the Xian clan. "If you make things difficult for me, Yi Ling Long won't agree." Jiang Chen wasn't afraid of the Xian clan now that he had Yi Ling Long. However, when the consecrator heard Yi Ling Long's name, He raised his eyebrows and said, "Let him try going to the Xian clan again." Jiang Chen's heart thumped when he heard that. Could it be that the Xian clan's experts had returned? They were as strong as Yi Linglong? Chapter 698. Thinking of this, Jiang Chen stopped. He really didn't want to go to the Xian clan. If it was as he guessed, and the Xian clan had someone who could fight against Yi Linglong, going to the Xian clan now would be like sending a lamb to the tiger's den. At that time, even Yi Linglong wouldn't be able to protect him. Don't worry. We still have to give face to Yi Linglong. The consecrators seemed to have seen through Jiang Chen's thoughts and said, "Let's go. Everyone is waiting for you." Then, the two of them got up and flew toward the Xian clan's mountain gate. Along the way, many people followed them. There were even over-god-level experts secretly following them. This was because the previous incident had caused a commotion in the entire Eternal City. Now, they all wanted to see how Jiang Chun would take back the thick Earth Divine technique from the Xian clan. Who is he? Is the thick Earth Divine technique really his? Someone asked. I'm not sure. I only know that this guy's identity isn't ordinary. He should be reincarnated. If the Xian clan really handed over the thick Earth Divine technique, they would lose a lot of face. The Xian clan is much stronger than they seem. The big shots who were secretly following them discussed in secret. When they mentioned the Xian clan, there was a trace of fear. Although the Eternal City was just a city, it was very vast. It was much bigger than an ordinary small world. In such a big world, the Xian clan could be ranked in the top 10 of all the forces. This proved that the Xian clan was very powerful. Moreover, the Xian clan still had a clan leader who hadn't appeared yet. Many people were guessing whether the Xian clan leader was in seclusion or fighting on the front line. Could it be that the Xian clan leader has broken through the shackles and surpassed the Divine King level? Someone's heart palpitated. If that was the case, then the ranking of the forces in the Eternal City would change. Someone will definitely make a move today to test the Xian clan's strength. Someone transmitted, when the time comes, we just have to watch. The Divine King of several generations is now upon. How pitiful and sad. Someone joked, I want to see if he can become a Divine King in every generation. Along the way, Jiang Chen's expression was calm, but his heart was surging waves of emotions. He knew better than anyone that going to the Xian race this time would not bode well for them. Of course, his life would not be in danger. After all, Yi Linglong was there. At worst, we'll just fight to the death, Jiang Chen thought. Not long after, Jiang Chen arrived at the Xian clan's mountain gate under the guidance of the consecrator. A group of people led by the second elder of the Xian clan had been waiting at the gate for a long time. When they saw Jiang Chen, they all had strange looks in their eyes. Some people's eyes were filled with killing intent. Some were laughing mockingly, and some were facing it calmly. Behind them, a group of elite disciples of the Xian clan stood tall. Xian Xiaomao was among them. She had a pretty face and was one of the famous beauties in Eternal City. But now, her expression was gloomy and could even be described as twisted. After all, Jiang Chun had forced her to sign a master and servant contract with him. To her, this was simply a humiliation. Jiang Chun was only a true divinity, while Xian Xiaomao was a profound divinity. The difference in their cultivation was so great that if it were not for that accident, Xian Xiaomao dared to say that she could kill Jiang Chun with just one finger. Little servant, I haven't seen you for a few days. You've become much prettier. Jiang Chen looked very relaxed as he waved at Xian Xiaomao in the distance. How dare you? This is the great elder's granddaughter. Watch your words. In an instant, the group of disciples of the Xian clan shouted angrily. Xian Xiaomao's eyes were burning with anger. She almost exploded with anger. Little friend Jiang Chun, today, the second elder of the Xian clan said. Before he could finish, Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, Little friend, you're really thick-skinned. Who am I? I'm the Divine King of several generations. I'm afraid that my first generation was even older than your ancestors. Are you qualified to call me little friend? Hearing this, the second elder of the Xian clan frowned slightly. It was obvious that he was unhappy. However, he was very shrewd and could put down his pride. He smiled and said, "This is this old man's fault." "Of course it's your fault." Jiang Chen did not give the other party any face, because he knew that the Xian clan would make things difficult for him today. Since that was the case, Jiang Chen was too lazy to be courteous. He would say what he should say and do what he should do. There was no need to care about each other's pride. "Ha, Jiang Chen, you're very direct." The second elder of the Xian clan still had a smile on his face. At the same time, he paid his respects to Jiang Chen and said, "Why don't I call you Hierarch Jiang?" Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed as he stared at the second elder of the Xian clan. He said in a low voice, "You know my identity on the godless mainland?" For the Xian clan, it's very easy to investigate a person's identity. The second elder of the Xian clan said, "Of course, don't worry. No one in the Eternal City will attack the creatures of the godless mainland or other worlds. This is an iron law." "I don't think you would dare," Jiang Chen said in a low voice. At this point, Jiang Chen's eyes glanced over and saw a formation in front of the Xian clan's mountain gate. This formation hadn't been set up when he came last time. Now, it should have been specially prepared for Jiang Chen. "Hierarch Jiang, then I'll be straightforward." The second elder of the Xian clan said too much and did not want to be polite anymore. He said bluntly, 3 tests. Enter the mountain gate, reach the main hall, and decide the winner. If you complete all 3, I will personally hand over the thick earth divine art. It's that simple? Jiang Chen was stunned. Jiang Chen had been wondering what kind of tricks the Xian clan would play this time. Perhaps they would send him to the front line to participate in the war, or to some forbidden area, or to do something almost impossible. But now, it seemed that the Xian clan's request wasn't excessive. In fact, it was quite simple. Enter the mountain gate. You want me to break the formation in front of me? Jiang Chen pointed at the formation in front of him and asked seriously, "This formation, who set it up?" "Naturally, I set it up myself," the second elder of the Xian clan said. "Hierarch Jiang is a divine king of several eras after all, so I don't dare to neglect you. If the formation is weak, wouldn't I be looking down on you, Hierarch Jiang? This formation, you think it's very strong?" Jiang Chen's expression was strange. The moment he saw the formation, he knew where the formation's core was and how to break it. However, since Jiang Chen came today, he wouldn't be fine. "If the Xian clan wants to make things difficult for me, then I won't be polite," Jiang Chen thought. After thinking, the corner of Jiang Chen's mouth rose slightly, and he took a step forward. You don't want to break the formation?" The second elder of the Xian clan was puzzled. Logically speaking, before breaking the formation, one must first comprehend the formation and find the flaw in the formation's core. Then, one must form the formation's runes that connect or clash with the formation. What Hierarch Jiang? You don't even know the basics of breaking a formation. You're just a piece of trash who relies on Yi Linglong's reputation. Chapter 699. The disciples of the Xian clan mocked. Some even said that if they fought with Jiang Chen, they could defeat Jiang Chen in less than 10 rounds. What a vulgar person. At this moment, Jiang Chen chuckled softly, while divine light appeared on his body. His aura didn't increase at all. It was as if there was a god sitting cross-legged on every inch of his skin, chanting ancient and mysterious scriptures. This was the embodiment of an extremely strong physical body. This physical body is indeed very strong among his peers. I'm afraid he's still a long way from sanctifying his physical body. It's only enough to scare some ignorant people. Many people discussed in secret. They didn't think that Jiang Chen's physical body was that special. However, when Jiang Chen's foot landed on the tactical formation, exclamations could be heard everywhere. With one step, the array in front of them suddenly collapsed. The array patterns and array stones were like paper. Divine light danced. The array patterns bloomed like fireworks and then extinguished. After the formation stone shook a few times, it turned into ashes. I don't know anything about arrays, so I could only break it by force. Does this count? Jiangchen looked at the second elder of the Xian clan and said jokingly, if this doesn't count, then it does. The second elder of the Xian clan was livid. He didn't expect Jiangchen to break the array by force. This physical body is extremely strong. Could it be some kind of divine body? It looks very similar. I feel a trace of the phoenix's aura, but it's also mixed with many other auras. In secret, some big shots peeked at Jiangchen. Some people exclaimed, we saw wrong. His physical body might not be weaker than a Xian god cultivator. Can I go in now? Jiangchen asked. Before the Xian clan and the others could react, he had already crossed the mountain gate and entered the Xian clan. This is only the first step. We'll talk if you can reach the Xian clan's main hall. The ninth elder of the Xian clan looked gloomy. He couldn't believe that Jiangchen's physical body was so strong. After all, this was a formation set up by the Xian clan's second elder, a lord-level expert. Of course, although this formation was not strong, it was enough to stop all true god-level cultivators. Even heavenly gods would not be able to break this formation. I underestimated him. The second elder of the Xian clan felt regret. If he had known earlier, he would have set up a stronger formation. However, this was just a thought. After all, both in the open and in the dark, there were so many people watching. If he set up a formation that was too high level and powerful, wouldn't he be laughed at by others? The Grand Xian race was bullying a small true divinity cultivator. From here, follow Sky Reaching Street until you reach the entrance of the Xian clan's main hall. The second elder of the Xian clan put on a fake smile. I have to remind you that there are restrictions here. With each step you take, your body and soul will feel a stronger pressure. Thank you. Jiangchen smiled. When these two words came out, the group of people was dumbfounded. Big brother, please wake up. The Xian clan is making things difficult for you, and you're saying thank you? Ignorant fool. Many people from the Xian clan cursed. Although they didn't know what Jiangchen meant by saying thank you, it was most likely not good intentions. At this moment, Jiangchen stood in front of Sky Reaching Street. His expression was calm, and his heart was even calmer. He even wanted to laugh. Pressure? Body? Soul? You probably don't know, but in this life, this king has cultivated every realm to perfection. Whether it's the body or the soul, it far surpasses those of the same realm. I'm starting. After a few breaths, Jiangchen whispered. Then, he took a step forward and stood on the first step of Sky Reaching Street. Buzz! In an instant, space distorted, and there were even bursts of explosions. An invisible pressure erupted, and like a mountain, it landed on Jiangchen's body. On the side, many Xian clan disciples were affected, and their expressions changed greatly. This pressure, I can only take 100 steps at most. 100 steps? Heh! With each step, the pressure will increase greatly. After 100 steps, the pressure will be 100 times stronger, or even 1,000 times stronger. The Xian clan disciples were also comparing. Of course, they were certain of one thing, and that was that Jiangchen could not reach the entrance of the main hall. I guess he can only take 10 steps at most. 10 steps? Are you trying to make me laugh? He's just a lower true god. It's already not bad if he can take 5 steps. This place is a full 1,000 steps away from the Xian clan's main hall. If a mere lower true god steps in forcefully, he will definitely be crushed to death by the pressure. However, just as everyone was not optimistic about Jiangchen's chances, Jiangchen took another step. Moreover, this time, Jiangchen took more than 10 steps in succession. A series of explosions resounded in the air, shocking the hearts of everyone present. This is like walking on flat ground? It can't be? Everyone exclaimed, and the Xian clan elders even widened their eyes. This was because the restrictions on Sky Reaching Street were extraordinary. The pressure after 10 steps was something that even a lower heavenly god could not withstand. What cultivation level is he at? Is he hiding his strength? The Xian clan's elder 9 frowned, his eyes gleaming. After staring at Jiangchen for a few breaths, he said doubtfully, He's indeed a lower true god. There's no doubt about it. His physical body and soul surpass ordinary people. It should be a saint body, but why is his soul so strong? Everyone was puzzled. At the same time, they saw Jiang Chun continue to walk forward as if he was walking on flat ground. Myriad transformations heavenly lamp extinguish. At this moment, Jiang Chun felt very helpless. As he walked, the myriad transformations heavenly lamp flickered on his soul and actually isolated the pressure outside. Jiang Chun originally wanted to use the pressure here to train his soul. Helpless, Jiang Chun could only temporarily extinguish the myriad transformations heavenly lamp. 30 steps, 60 steps. This speed. Why hasn't he slowed down? After more than 10 breaths, divine light suffused Jiang Chun's skin, and waves of fluctuations came from his soul like a blooming flower. Drops of dirty blood overflowed from Jiang Chun's body, emitting a foul stench. There was even a trace of bone residue. In his soul, a ball of inexplicable lightning appeared, bombarding continuously. It hurts a little, Jiang Chun muttered. His physical body and soul had an obvious improvement under this pressure. Even the blood in his body was transforming as if it was new blood. Every drop carried a divine luster. I know why he said thank you previously. He's using the pressure here to train his physical body and soul. How dare you? Some big shots saw through the matter and had no choice but to admire Jiang Chun's guts. One had to know just this pressure was enough to crush ordinary true gods to death. Even ordinary lower celestial gods could not withstand it. This kid, could it really be him? The Xian clan's second elder's expression suddenly became normal, but his heart was in turmoil because he did not want others to see through his inner thoughts. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.